Steve, that was a really interesting conversation. I learned
Thank
a
you.
lot about, yeah, it was good. Last point about how Chinese governance seems to change each generation. Hadn't considered that before.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to hear that from David Rennie, who is just endlessly insightful. And as you're talking, I'm realizing it's kind of true in America, too. We have different trends each generation. We move a little left, we move a little right, a little more freedom, sometimes a little less freedom. Anyway, thank you for the feedback.
You're welcome. Does it make you feel more engaged with your work?
Oh, my goodness. Anytime you comment on my work, it makes me feel more engaged. Thank you.
Well, you're an exception because about 2/3, yep, in many ways, but about 2/3 of U.S. workers say they're either not engaged with their jobs or worse, disengaged. NPR's Andrea Hsu says offering that kind of feedback is a simple solution.
That solution? Employee recognition. That's according to researchers at Gallup and the HR software firm WorkHuman. They tracked several thousand workers over the past 2 years and found people were way less likely to leave their jobs, 45% less likely when their work was recognized.
Emotions actually change. How they feel about work and the rest of their life changes.
Researcher Misha Ann Martin says it matters how you give feedback.
Doing it right means catching good behavior and appreciating it as it happens.
It helps, she says, if the feedback is more than just, hey, good job, because employees want to know,
what exactly am I doing that you're appreciating? Which aspect of my special sauce are you seeing here?
Meaningful recognition can be a powerful antidote to loneliness, Martin says, as well as stress and burnout. Gallup surveyed people in all sorts of industries. Across jobs, workers who said they felt recognized reported lower levels of stress.
So while it doesn't change the objective reality, it does change the subjective perception of what is happening.
Emotionally, you feel better, even if the work is just as hard. The research also found that recognition can fuel professional development. That was Andy Hernandez's experience. He was working in car financing in Greenville, South Carolina, trying to figure out how to get ahead. He decided to learn Excel on his own time so he could use it at work.
I started pitching ideas like, hey, maybe we should have this on the report. Started learning how to do the pivot table so they could see that.
Managers liked what he was doing and told him as much.
And as I started getting that positive feedback, it's like, okay, I'm on the right path. Let me keep learning and let me keep doing what I'm doing.
Hernandez rose through the ranks and eventually became a team leader who was quick with the appreciation, knowing it pays off. Andrea Hsu, NPR News.
You know niggas die for equal pay, right? You know when I work, I ain't your slave, right? You know I ain't shucking and jiving and high-fiving. You know this ain't back in the days, right? Well, I can't tell how the way they killed Freddie Gray, right?
Now to an update on a story the News 4 I-Team's Tracy Wilkins has been following for more than 3 years. A federal judge has ruled that an employment discrimination suit brought against the Maryland State Police Department has merit and can move forward.
The department tried to have the case that alleges racial discrimination and unfair discipline practices dismissed. Tracy has more on what's next and what's at stake.
For years, some Maryland State Police officers of color have complained of a racist work environment. In 2021, a News 4 investigation into department data showed more white officers promoted to higher ranks and specialty units compared to their black colleagues, and that black officers disproportionately accounted for harsher discipline, transfers, and demotions.
We want a police force that promotes officers based on merit, that holds officers accountable for true misconduct and doesn't met out discipline in truly discriminatory ways.
Mihail Shinar represents Byron Tribune, a current officer, along with 2 other current and former officers who are suing the department, all who say they've been victims of discrimination and retaliation that have impacted their careers. Now a federal judge has determined their claims should be heard in court and is moving their civil lawsuit forward against the state police agency.
It's been a long time coming. A tough battle, a long road, and I'm just happy that the judge was able to side with us and we can move forward and show the evidence that we have.
This is not the story of one individual like Mr. Tribune who has been harmed by discrimination. These are patterns and practices that exist in the Maryland State Police.
The lawsuit originally named former Superintendent Woodrow Jones and current Superintendent Roland Butler, who was appointed last year, becoming the first black man to lead the troopers. The judge dismissed those individual claims.
We don't see Mr. Butler as someone who is a new face of MSP leadership. He has a long history, and he has been in leadership while these actions have been ongoing.
In a statement, Maryland State Police said the agency remains committed to providing the highest quality of law enforcement services to the people of Maryland while ensuring the fair and equitable treatment of all employees, and will continue to take action to address even the perception of racism or unfair treatment of any kind.
What is your hope at the end of the day for this in terms of morale, opportunities for other officers of color in the department? What would you like to see happen?
Well, first, I would like to see change. Change for myself, my current co-workers, and the ones in front of me that's yet to come.
The plaintiffs are hoping this will become a class action lawsuit where additional officers can become involved. The judge will have to decide. Meanwhile, the U.S. Department of Justice is also investigating practices, training, promotions, and discipline within the Maryland State Police Department. I'm Tracy Wilkins, News 4 I-Team.
The tight housing market means many people struggle to find an affordable place to live, and that includes farm workers. So the U.S. Department of Agriculture funds a national network of workforce housing, which sounds good. But, as Ray Solomon of KUNC and Harvest Public Media reports, the federal government blocks many farm workers from using it.
A tidy apartment complex sits on the industrial edge of rural Fort Morgan, Colorado. There are solar panels on the roof, a couple of playgrounds for the kids, and a sign out front welcoming you to Sol Naciente, an agricultural labor housing community. Seems like the perfect place for meatpacker Abdul Aziz Diallo, who's originally from the West African country of Mauritania. Diallo says he's been looking for a place to live since he moved to the area last spring. But when he approached Sol Naciente about an open unit, they said he might be an ag worker, but he couldn't live there because at $23 an hour, his income was too high. He says apart from Sol Naciente, housing here is in short supply and very, very expensive. And according to Arturo Alvarado, who heads the nonprofit that manages Sol Naciente, Diallo's experience is common.
We're finding in the Fort Morgan area, a lot of the agriculture workers are making over the income that qualifies to live in the properties.
Sol Naciente is part of the USDA's off-farm labor housing program that funds affordable rentals for very low to moderate income ag workers. That means the federal government dictates who can live there. Tenants have to work in agriculture. They need documentation, and there are strict caps on household income based on the area's median income, or AMI. At Sol Naciente, the cap is about $37,000 a year for one person. Alvarado says in practice, those restrictions disqualify most of the local ag workforce the program is designed to help.
The income restrictions are making it hard for us to fill all the units.
That's because the AMI-linked income restrictions have not kept pace with ag worker earnings. Richard Stupp is an agricultural workforce specialist at Cornell University.
We're definitely seeing an upward trend. Farm wages have been going up faster than non-farm wages.
He says that trend is likely to continue, meaning more and more ag workers will lose eligibility for housing. The USDA did not respond to questions, but officials at other off-farm labor housing properties in Colorado and Minnesota say they can't find enough qualifying tenants for their vacancies. Marty Miller is executive director of the Washington State nonprofit Office of Rural and Farm Worker Housing.
When we're in the middle of a housing crisis, people can't afford places to live. There can be good quality available units, but they have a hard time finding someone eligible to live there.
He says ag workers in other states like Washington, Oregon, California, and Texas have the same problem. He hopes the federal government will adjust the income rules so housing remains available for the ag workers who so desperately need it. Instead, last fall, the Ag Department gave Sol Naciente a waiver to accept non-farm worker tenants who do meet the income restrictions. That solved their vacancy problem, but it didn't help ag worker Abdul Diallo, who never found a home in Fort Morgan. For months, he bounced around, staying with acquaintances and friends of friends. He says it's been too stressful, so he's leaving Fort Morgan, quitting the agriculture workforce for a restaurant job in Denver. It won't pay as well as the meatpacking gig, but at least he'll be able to find a home in the city. For NPR News, I'm Ray Solomon in Fort Morgan.
Come on, throw in a buck.
I don't tip.
You don't tip?
No, I don't believe in it.
You don't believe in tipping?
You know what these chicks make? They make shit. Don't give me that. She don't make enough money, she can quit.
I don't even know a fucking Jew would have the balls to say that. Now, let me just get this straight. You don't ever tip, huh?
I don't tip because society says I have to. All right, I mean, I'll tip if somebody really deserves a tip. If they really put forth the effort, I'll give them something extra. But, I mean, it's tipping automatically. It's for the birds. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, they're just doing their job. They make minimum wage. You know, I used to work minimum wage, and when I did, I wasn't lucky enough to have a job that society deemed tip-worthy.
You don't care they're counting on your tips to live?
You know what this is? It's the world's smallest violin playing just for the waitresses.
You don't have any idea what you're talking about. These people bust their ass. This is a hard job.
So is working at McDonald's, but you don't feel the need to tip them, do you? Well, why not? They're serving you food. But no, society says, don't tip these guys over here, but tip these guys over here. That's bullshit.
Waitressing is the #1 occupation for female non-college graduates in this country. It's the one job basically any woman can get and make a living on. The reason is because of their tips.
Fuck all that.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, I'm very sorry the government taxes their tips. That's fucked up. That ain't my fault. I mean, it would appear that waitresses are one of the many groups the government fucks in the ass on a regular basis. I mean, if you show me a piece of paper that says the government shouldn't do that, I'll sign it. Put it to a vote, I'll vote for it.
Tax cuts and credits have been a popular theme during this campaign. Former President Trump's latest proposal is ending a cap on the federal deductions taxpayers get for paying state and local taxes. A cap he implemented as president, and a change that could cost more than $1 trillion over a decade. Both candidates have also proposed several tax breaks and have not always explained how to pay for them. That's true of one idea Trump and Vice President Harris support: no taxes on tips. Economics correspondent Paul Solomon looked at what's behind that proposal and some concerns around it.
Prince Chickatah, bartender at Busboys and Poets in Washington, D.C., 80 to 90% of his income from tips.
Suppose they were no longer taxed.
That would be great.
No taxes on tips. It was a proposal first floated by former President Trump in June.
When I get to office, we are going to not charge taxes on tips.
Vice President Harris adopted the idea in August.
When I am president, we will continue our fight for working families of America, including to raise the minimum wage and eliminate taxes on tips for service and hospitality workers.
On Capitol Hill, don't tax tips bills were introduced this summer with bipartisan support.
What's the average tip you get?
Anywhere between 15 and 20.
For most Americans, a standard tip at a sit-down restaurant is 15% or less.
Who are the big tippers?
Families, parents who have kids, they tip really well.
Most people tip me 20%, which is awesome.
Server Jordan Colsani says tips account for about 80% or more of her income.
What would your reaction be if tips were no longer taxed?
I think every penny counts. So I think making more and, not being taxed and being able to keep all the money that you work really, really hard for is always a positive.
And what do the tippers themselves think?
Them being able to keep that amount and not having to, pay it later is something that I do stand with.
Will that change your behavior at all?
It won't. I'm happy to hear that they'll take more of it.
So, a policy with bipartisan support that benefits the low-wage worker. What's not to like?
Can I get a fruit cup?
As I discovered, plenty.
The issue is that there aren't a lot of tipped workers in America.
According to economist Ernie Tedeschi, tipped work accounts for just 2.5% of all employment.
Even among low-wage workers, it's only 5% of the lowest wage workers that are tipped workers.
And more than a third of the lowest wage workers don't have to pay any federal income tax, says policy analyst Erica York.
These are workers who already have a very low income tax burden if they owe taxes at all. They may not make enough to owe taxes. If they do, they face the lowest marginal tax rates. They qualify for tax credits that can offset some or all of that tax liability. So providing an exemption like this may not even be the best form of relief.
But whereas the very lowest wage workers wouldn't benefit much or at all, says Ernie Tedeschi, employers would.
It shifts the burden of compensation away from the wage side, which the employers have to pay, to the tip side, which the customer pays.
So if tips were tax-free,
there are going to be a lot more workers that want tipped jobs, and so that's going to give employers the comfort and the ability to pay those workers a little bit less in wages than they otherwise would.
As it is, post-pandemic, there's been a proliferation of electronic prompts for tips.
Every single coffee shop I go to, every single fast food place I go to asks for tips.
We're being asked now to tip for stuff that we never used to tip on before.
It's like a guilt factor where it's kind of like, you just go ahead and I might as well do it at this moment.
So you are susceptible to the guilt?
Yes, I definitely am. The guilt does get the best of me and just act on it, yeah.
You too?
Yeah, I'd say it's 100% guilt-driven.
Phil DeRuggiero, for one, may be among those developing tip fatigue.
A little bit tired of getting that at every point of sale.
And since the proposal incentivizes tipping,
I think that's going to become more pervasive if this becomes law.
Which could lead to unintended changes in consumer behavior.
I think that there is a default assumption that consumers are just going to pay tips at the same rate that they've always been paying. I don't know that that's going to be the case. I think at some point consumers might get exhausted. You're essentially asking customers to pay higher prices when they've already gone through a period of 4 years where they've rebelled against higher prices.
And as Steve Buscemi's Mr. Pink made clear in Reservoir Dogs, tips are discretionary.
I don't tip.
You don't tip?
No, I don't believe in it.
You don't believe in tipping?
If they really put forth the effort, I'll give them something extra. But I mean, it's tipping automatically. It's for the birds.
And how about this unintended consequence?
You could see a lot of income recharacterized to take advantage of the tax-free treatment. It's hard to predict how many industries, how many occupations could find a way to involve tipping in the transaction.
Let's say I'm a salesperson that gets a commission, or let's say that I'm somebody on Wall Street that gets a year-end bonus. So I reclassify my commission as a tip, or I reclassify my year-end bonus as a tip. The employer helps out because they'll get a benefit. And so everybody wins.
Except the taxpayer.
Right, exactly. Except for the taxpayer and the federal government. That's the sort of creative tax accounting that's on the line here if we don't have good guardrails. And, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an accountant. Now imagine what an actual smart accountant and an actual smart lawyer who's paid to do this 24/7 would come up with.
Now, the Harris campaign says she would push for an income limit and strict requirements to prevent such behavior. But here's yet another problem. Even when it comes to the low-income workers the plan is supposed to help,
there's not really an economic rationale to say a waitress who's making $30,000 a year deserves a tax cut, while a cashier at a convenience store who's also making $30,000 a year doesn't deserve a tax cut.
New York restaurateur Amanda Cohen eliminated tips 10 years ago. Instead, she charges a bit more so she can pay all her employees a higher wage. More fair, she thinks.
The prettier you are, younger you are, the more likely you are to make higher tips. And, the older you are and the darker your skin, you're less likely to make as much.
But Cohen may have to drop her no-tip policy if tips are going to be untaxed.
How do I look at my servers and say, you could make a lot more money working at a tipped restaurant because half of your wages won't be taxed anymore. I just don't think I could find anybody to work for me.
So with all these caveats, why has the proposal been so readily embraced?
No tax on tips. It sounds like a good way to provide a tax cut to workers who work hard, who earn income, who need a break. I think that's why it's catching on politically.
This proposal is extremely popular in Nevada, which is heavily dominated by the leisure and hospitality and gaming industry, as you might imagine, where tips are extremely important.
And Nevada is a swing state.
And Nevada is a swing state, exactly.
In other words,
Hey, Nevada!
political business as usual.
People that get tips, you're going to be very happy.
In Soundbite America. For the PBS NewsHour, Paul Saltman.
Rape and sexual assault at one of London's most famous addresses. Dozens of former employees of Harrods, which describes itself as the world's leading luxury department store, are accusing their late boss of being a monster who preyed on female staff for a quarter century. NPR's Lauren Frayer reports from London.
Harrods, Europe's biggest department store. Harrods, where they measure selling space in acres, not square feet.
Harrods is where Russian oligarchs shop, tourists gawk, and 15 million people visit annually. Its late owner, the Egyptian-born billionaire Mohammed El Fayed, was a jet-setter. He also owned the Ritz in Paris. He hobnobbed with royals, even made it into The Crown on Netflix.
With your help, I will become that rare thing, a British gentleman.
It was his son Dodi Fayed who dated Princess Diana and died with her in that 1997 car crash. For years, there was a memorial statue of the couple and a condolence book near one of the Harrods escalators. But after Al Fayed Sr.'s death last year at age 94, old accusations began to emerge. They resurfaced first in a BBC documentary that aired last night and today at a news conference in London.
Mohammed Al Fayed was a monster.
Dean Armstrong is a lawyer representing dozens of accusers, including at least 5 alleging rape.
He was a monster enabled by a system that pervaded Harrods.
One of the accusers also spoke, identifying herself only as Natasha, one of El Fayed's personal assistants. She described being summoned to the boss's office.
And these private meetings turned into more. A forced kiss. His hands gripping your face to his lips, or pulling you down on his lap, where his hands were free to explore.
She didn't give her surname. In the UK, victims often are not identified publicly. But she appeared before all the TV cameras, alongside celebrity lawyer Gloria Allred, who's also represented accusers in high-profile Me Too cases in America.
Sexual misconduct was constant and repetitive and went on for 25 years that he owned Harrods.
The lawyers say they still have a case against Harrods itself. Its new Qatari owners told the BBC they're utterly appalled by what happened before their time and have a settlement process in place for alleged victims. And there has been no comment from the El Fayed family. Lauren Frayer, NPR News, London.
With the 9th pick in the 2009 NBA draft, the Toronto Raptors select DeMar DeRozan from the University of Southern California.
And with that, DeMar DeRozan started his journey into Canadian sports history, drafted to the Toronto Raptors. He had been dreaming of an NBA career since he was a kid, growing up in his LA neighborhood of Compton. He spent hours poring over VHS tapes of the greats, Michael Jordan and Dr. J, to learn their secrets. As a Raptor, DeMar DeRozan's contributions on the basketball court were legendary, but he also sparked a conversation on the sidelines when he started talking about his own struggles with mental health. DeMar DeRozan has written about his journey in a new memoir called Above the Noise, and he is with me in studio. DeMar DeRozan, good morning.
Good morning, man.
Congratulations on this book.
Thank you. Thank you for having me as well.
You go back to 2009. What was going through your mind when you realized you'd been drafted by the Raptors?
Excitement, a dream come true. I just remember feeling, like it was so surreal, especially at that time. This was the place I definitely wanted to be. So to hear my name get drafted, having my parents there, seeing the reaction, walking up there, putting that hat on, felt like a dream come true. Well, it was a dream come true.
It comes after a lot of hard work. What did basketball give you?
Basketball was the only thing I could comprehend, and basketball was the only thing to allow me to embrace my imagination. Being able to recreate moments you see from your favorite players growing up. I just always remember having a make-believe, court in the house, doing fadeaway jump shots with my tongue out, trying to, be Jordan, trying to grow a mini afro like Kobe when I was young. It gave you a belief when you watch sports and when you play sports to really see that imagination could come true.
Tell me about watching those videotapes with your dad. I mean, this is before streaming. This is before you could dial up the highlights online, and you get the old cassettes sitting there on the watching them on the television. Tell me about watching those.
It was such a beautiful thing when I look back on it, because I just remember how grainy the TV was, you couldn't even see the player face. But watching so many games in black and white, I remember times where they didn't even show the score on the TV. You just watching them go up and down the court. And I used to just watch basketball so much because, one, it gave me a moment with my dad, and two, unknowingly, it gave me a deeper appreciation and love for the game of basketball.
Tell me about the relationship that you had with your dad.
Man, my dad was my everything. He was everything I wanted to strive to be. I wanted his acceptance. I wanted to make him proud. He pushed me. He taught me a lot of things. He showed me tough love, but it all made sense, as I got older, to be able to have a supporting father. He was there for every moment of my life. That meant a lot, especially now how I am with my kids.
You say that you knew he loved you, but he was also the only person that you were scared of.
Yes, he was the only person I was terrified of. I remember.
Terrified?
Yeah, I remember it was if I woke up late and I hear him walking up the stairs, or if he yelled my name, it was like a panic of me jumping out the bed. Because, like I said, he was tough on me, but he was tough on me for all the right reasons. But being young, I didn't look at it that way. I always looked at it like, man, what I do now, what I got to do. But he was just teaching me a lot of life lessons that I carried to this day.
He really believed that you were going to make it, too.
Yeah.
Like, he kind of knew in his mind that you were going to make it.
I think he had the utmost belief in me more than anything and anybody before I even knew I was even good in basketball, And I don't even think it was more so for basketball. I think as just a person, he seen something in me that I could have, and he didn't let me shortchange it or make excuses or complain about much of anything. He pushed me because he knew I was going to be something.
You have a tattoo that's on your right forearm, is that right? Mm-hmm. And it says, "Why would they care about you?"
Yeah.
This is a tattoo that you see it every time you're taking a shot.
Yeah. It was one of those things. Growing up, it was something that I always heard so often. Like, why would they care about you? They don't love you. They don't make sure you get up in the morning. They don't push you. They don't give their best effort to make you be the best you could be.
This is what your dad was telling you.
Yeah, and that was one thing that always was instilled in my mind. Like, you can't expect everybody to care. You got to lean towards the ones, your family, the ones that really care for you, that want the best for you, because everybody's not going to care. Everybody look at you like you don't matter. You got to do what you need to do for who you need to do it for, family-wise and for yourself. So that was one thing that definitely pushed me.
So you put out this tweet. The tweet is, "This depression get the best of me." Mm-hmm. Why did you could have written it but not sent it. You could have put it in the draft.
Yeah.
Why did you push tweet?
In that moment, I was so isolated. I was in my own solitude, and my emotions was at its all-time high, and, I didn't have nobody to talk to. And it was something I wrote, and literally, when I wrote it, I put my phone down.
What did you think was going to happen?
I didn't think anything,
you didn't think, you must have thought something would happen.
Literally, I didn't think anything, because I wouldn't have woke up in a panic and a shock that I did, wondering why I had so many missed calls or text messages. I really didn't know. I sent it, and I went to sleep, woke up, ready for the next day, until I seen, the concern, people asking me in detail what did I mean by that tweet. And it kind of took me back to that moment, like, oh, man, I tweeted this when I was feeling this way. Even though I woke up and I wasn't feeling like the way I felt middle of the morning, things came with that tweet.
Were you surprised that the things came with that tweet? I mean, the response to it, I remember seeing it because you put it out at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
I remember seeing it, and people were like, this is what he's saying. This is him saying it. They wanted to make sure that it was you. Yeah. People wanted to make sure you're okay, but they also knew that this would lead to a conversation. Did you know that was going to happen?
No, I didn't know it would lead into all this to this present day. Mm-hmm. I didn't know, but it was something that was obviously needed, not just for myself, but for, the world, in a sense, to show that we go through things as athletes, and I think after I took a second that following day, it just opened me up and made me realize, like, man, yeah, this is how I feel. This is what I'm going through. And it opened a conversation from there.
Let me play something for you. This is Fred VanVleet former Raptors teammate, talking about what this tweet accomplished. Have a listen.
He changed a billion-dollar business. He changed it, pretty much single-handedly, speaking out. And then obviously a lot of guys felt more comfortable, and that's what it's about. So for him to do that, it was huge, and we won't know the impact. We'll never know the impact, but we just know that it's a great impact that he had on the league and on the guys and on players, coaches, staff, whoever, that this is DeMar DeRozan, and he goes through shit like everybody else.
In the book, and this is true, you say that men, especially black men, don't want to talk about this and aren't encouraged to talk about this. In fact, the opposite is encouraged. You bottle it up. You don't say that depression is around. You don't say that you're not perfect, especially if you're successful and you're making money. Why do you think people are afraid of that? Why are people afraid of vulnerability?
We live in such an opinion-based world, and a lot of times people don't want to share things because of getting poked at, made fun of, looking down upon, feeling looked at as being weak. It's not enough empathy being shown to allow people to be free to speak out on a lot of things that they're going through because they don't want to feel shameful. They don't want to feel worse, and I think when you see someone in a higher position normalize, pain that they may go through, it's easier to deal with, because if I was worried about what everybody else may think or may say, I would have never said anything. I wouldn't continue to say anything. I wouldn't continue to put my life, out there, even to this day, with me still going through so much and still trying to figure out in the process. But it comes with trying to normalize those things so we could be able to, talk out more, because I know I find inspiration in other people's story and figure out ways how I could be better and I could help the next person.
What have you heard? Freddie says that you changed $1 billion game, but people look up to you, and you'd hear from fans. So what have you heard that lets you know that you did the right thing?
I hear so many. It's so baffling to me, because whether if it's players or it's coaches, I just start with a couple coaches I done had over the years that after practice we sit and have in-depth conversations about how, me speaking out made them feel seen or gave them more confidence to speak up, or, they feel empowered in a sense of knowing that, look, I'm going through this as well, and can express it and help a younger person out. And when I hear those things, it means a lot to me, because it lets you know that it worked. It worked. And there's been so many people outside the court that come up to me and say how much I helped their kid, or, someone 20, 30 years older than me telling me I helped them with something mentally. That means the world to me.
That's really powerful.
Yeah, I never would imagine that, I'll be able to do something like that. Following the tweet that I made.
You do great stuff on the basketball court, but you also wonder whether that legacy will almost equal that. Do you know what I mean? Changing a conversation is a big thing.
Yeah, and I didn't realize how big it was until I did it. So it put me in a place, even in this moment, of still learning and still trying to grow and better myself and be a better father, a better person, a better, leader, whatever it may be. And just seeing that it's a constant journey that we all got to kind of go through. And that what led me to even do a book.
I'm speaking with DeMar DeRozan, 6-time NBA All-Star, former Toronto Raptor. That book is called Above the Noise, My Story of Chasing Calm.
Context of white supremacy. Forgot to press the button. Gus T. Renegade in for another broadcast, hopefully to share constructive information on the system of white supremacy. Today's date, Friday, September 20, 2024, so I have been told. This is our weekly broadcast, Neutralizing Workplace Racism. In especially, not for spectators, we are here for people. Since all of the white supremacy racism that we experience in the workplace impacts the mental health of so many non-white people like DeMar DeRozan, hey, that is why we have this program. Not for spectators. If you have figured out any strategies that work, minimize some of the abuse that we encounter in the workplace, share. You should have us on speed dial, really. If you figured out how to manage your mental health, take those days off as needed, finding resources, people to talk to, calling into the C.O.W.S, Neutralizing Workplace Racism, or whatever. Journaling, diary, hiking, cycling, yoga, combination. Let us know. They don't terrorize you. You don't have to worry about raises. You don't have to worry about your housing situation for your job. They don't terrorize you in your workplace, treat you differently from all the other white employees. Let us know. How did you accomplish all this? The number 605 313 5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Number again, 605 313 5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. You can always email, drop us a line if you are concerned about being identified. You don't want them to pick out your voice and such. We can keep you anonymous, especially if you have suggestions, tips, always needed. And then if you're having problems, let us know. We'll do our best to use counter-racist logic. See if we can help minimize problems in the workplace. Now, some of the audio reports that we heard at the beginning, I guess one still had wackiness happen with myself dialing in to the regular line for the broadcast, the 605 number. It's been the case for the past 2 or 3 weeks or so. I don't know if that's the case for others, but usual suspects, lots of interference. You can always use the free HD app. That said, audio segments that we heard at the beginning, they started with the segment on compliments. Of all things, compliments. We actually do discuss compliments in the workplace on a pretty routine basis. I've said for a long time, hey, no compliments on physical attire, clothing, hairdos, jewelry, you lost weight, none of that. New glasses, none of that, none of that, none of that. Now, we've had black females who say, hey, I think it's black self-respect to acknowledge if it's a black female, if they're taking care of themselves, or, they got hair that has not been chemically mutilated and they want to support that. That's great. I even say that because other individuals may hear that and you say, oh, hey, Asada, your hair just looks amazing. I love that. And man, I'm glad you, had the courage to let go of the chemicals and all that. Healthy, and you're looking great. Just, wow. Someone hears that, a white person could be. Now they want to hop in and have a whole 30-minute dialogue about Negro hair. Not interested in that. Or you even have a non-white person who hears that. Now they want to hop in a non-constructive manner or go share this with other white people. Or it's just like, because you are not the only people there. That's another reason why no compliments on anything except the work, which is most of what they talked about in that segment. That's why I was like, hey, I'm right on with that. Now, in terms of engagement and all that, they tell me, you're doing a great job and all this, and we're not going to be able to give you a raise, Leroy, or no extra days off, or let you work from home, nothing like that, but at least you'll be more engaged. Whatever. I don't, getting a day off, a raise, a promotion, that does way more for my self-respect, self-esteem, and my mental health even, than attaboy, a pat on the head. That half-eaten bag of peanut M&Ms. They got peanut butter and jelly M&Ms now? Anyway, I don't want a half-eaten bag of those either. just on the work. You're doing fantastic work. And hey, if I'm doing fantastic work, that should be noted in my file when it's time for raise, promotion, consideration. Yes? Just compliments about the work. I'm not interested. And that's also why we're not about going to work and I'm styling. It's autumn and, I'm ready to break out my leather jacket and suede and, I'm all right. Always wear the same thing, professional, clean, appropriate attire for our workplace. But no, I am not out here. I already broke out my wardrobe, put all my t-shirts and pastels and whites, put all that stuff away. Beige every day. Let's see. Next segment. The black police officers in Maryland pause for Freddie Gray. The black officers in Maryland reported all of the white terrorism. Again, document, and they did the group effort. I'm always an advocate of, if it's a lot of victims of white supremacy in a workplace setting, if everybody is documented, codified, and what have you, you can do what they call a class action suit and show a widespread pattern of misconduct, maybe even constitutional violations, in terms of what they were talking about in passing over, or greater discipline for black enforcement officers in Maryland and promoting white officers and all the rest of it that we've heard for eons. Some of that even seemed like it came up with Freddie Gray way back when. Was that 2015? Has it been a decade already? Anyway, that's in Maryland. I cannot emphasize enough. Document. That would be another one. We just finished Zebra Murders where they were talking about the same thing. Officers for Justice. We were just talking about all that. Officer Sanders, that was in the 70s. Opposite side of the continent, they were talking about the exact, verbatim, the exact same thing. Progress. We heard the segment about the farm housing, or lack thereof housing, where they say they have housing, but they have the structures built, but to qualify the individuals who are not white, they make a little bit too much money, so they don't qualify for the housing for the agricultural workers. This seems like another one, like all of the wackiness. They have private citizens making spacewalks now, and you can't. Is this like changing a few numbers, a change to a policy here, there, so that, okay, same thing like with the supplementary security income. They were saying that just changing it for the cost of living and inflation would make drastic improvements for people's quality of life, particularly people who need the most help doing this work or getting SSI. And it's like, we just haven't made these changes in decades. Can't even blame it on the Rona, because this is like going back even before all that started. And I suspect because it's non-white people doing this agricultural work, that is a part of the, we just can't get it right, can't get the housing, Sure to hope we get these asparagus harvested. Let's see. We had the segment on Harrods, the shopping department in the UK, and the years and years of sexual abuse allegedly. Same thing that we've heard. Really, I was thinking I could have switched that out and played Diddy, I guess, even though I was thinking that's more compensatory call-in. But yeah, I guess I could have put Diddy in there. Jimmy Savile. There's so many of these. I cannot stress enough. If you have offspring, mandatory. Got to talk to them about the racism that you have experienced first and foremost in the workplace. Certainly age appropriate. I'm not saying when you have, a 3-year-old, 5-year-old, you want to sit down and tell them how the manager propositioned you and spies on where your car is and follows you out of the lot. Like, no, I'm not saying any of that at 5 now. 12. But talk to your children about that and make sure that they have an understanding of the omnipresent force system of white supremacy, and then the sexual abuse is a big part of that. Explain that to them, and then so they can be prepared. They might be dealing with that in the schools, unfortunately, if they attend school publicly, and then even if they don't, they get a job at some point. Going to be a problem, male or female. So address this with them. Talk with them about this. And I would pull reports like this, where this has gone on for all these years. How many people, how many folks worked at a massive department store chain where this went on and on and on and on and on? Same thing, Jimmy Sal, we just go through all of that. And even reminding them, hey, sometimes the job isn't worth it. Even if you think it's your dream job and you always wanted to work here and you get all kinds of benefits or discounts or whatever it is because you work there. We talked about that before too. Hey, we are on the plantation, so even the so-called dream job might not be that cool after all. Let's see. And then we heard DeMar DeRozan, who got the dream job, drafted NBA, go play for the Toronto Raptors and all that jazz. Not playing for them anymore, but still get to the NBA and make all this money and score all these points and what have you. And it's still end up being depressed. I'm so glad that they included in that segment, which was on the CBC, DeMar DeRozan. He was born in California. Now he's back playing for the Sacramento Kings this season. But they interviewed him on CBC, that was Canadian radio, because of the long time tenure that he spent playing for the Toronto Raptors. They were very good, leading to, he wasn't on the team, but leading to them winning a championship in 2019. And him talking about depression, I'm so thankful that they included that, hey, black males, black people in general, and then they said black males, they do not talk about depression and or mental health and are encouraged not to talk about depression, mental health, and racism, which is probably all the same thing. That's the way Dr. Welsing addressed it. That is so important because so frequently people will say that people like DeMar DeRozan and the rest of us, oh, you know, you black people, you got a stigma against counseling, and, you know, you black people, you don't want to go and get mental health assistance, talk to someone and discuss all of your troubles. Just say, you know, we just need to pray to white Jesus, go to church, and everything will be fine. Like, wait a minute. We are in a global system of white supremacy racism. You don't even let black people go to the dentist, much less go to see a mental health therapist. They got whole books written about this. Then if you do go and, man, these white people show up and, oh my God, you blaming all your troubles on white, drapetomania, schizophrenia. They make up all these old titles and put you in some sort of institution, put some, I don't even know what the new title that they got on it for uppity Negro. Maybe that's just what they call it. What they got, excited delirium. That's the one if you get arrested and they say you having a mental health, I would say, oh yes, he had the excited delirium. That's why he died. That one. See, they got all of this. Not to mention, they don't even make it easy to produce black mental health officials who maybe would be able to assist with all this. Can we get some more Dr. Wells? Nah. Can we get some more Dr. Joy DeGruy Leary? Nah. Can we get some black male psychologists and psychiatrists to deal with the DeMar? France Fanon? Got it. So I certainly appreciate that, and even why I included that segment, because I think that is workplace racism. He's working a job, and that's like a high-profile public job where everybody gets to see you and criticize you every moment on social media all over the world, and how lame you are, and you suck, and you're a no-count black dude, and all the rest of it. So, yeah, that would be, I think, workplace racism. And you got a book recommendation. That's why I say, like, I'm always appalled. Say, man, Gus, do you have any book recommendations? We mention books all the time. All you have to do is pay attention right now. And new books. DeMar DeRozan just published this year. Non-fiction. Put that on the shelf next to Bill Russell, Mahmoud Abdul Rauf. See how much things have changed or not over that time. our history of basketball reads on the Catherine Massey Book Club, yes. Shout out to DeMar DeRozan. Reading, writing, more important than watching television. Right on to DeMar Rosen. That's our audio segments. Folks who wrote in, dialed in. See, we have the emails to get to as well. I guess I'll nab an email and then see if folks have thoughts to share. I will say, before I get to the email, last week, the caller who wrote in to share with us about their experience with slumber party, I guess you call, or I guess not slumber party. I shouldn't call it a slumber party. Their experience spending the night sharing a room with a coworker. I read it last week. They were out working in Colorado, land of Columbine. They were out working, and he, white male, sharing a room. The white male, you know, this already starts off like a horror story. Halloween right around the corner. So this starts off with the Michael Myers music, which says, "Hey, black brother, you want to get a drink?" Oh, God. It just gets worse from there. It says, "Hey, you want to go to the shindig?" Anyway, the black male, brilliant, no. Hell no. So the white man leaves, goes to get drunk, does God knows whatever else. He comes back hours later, drunk, bloody, hops in bed with our privileged black male. I said Mike Myers, right? You heard me? He said, he's like, "What? Ned, what are you doing? Get Ned. Ned doesn't budge. He needs a little midnight snuggle with his favorite black brother. Black male literally has to kick Ned out of the bed, who still does not stir from his rest. He may be lying and have been pretending to be asleep, but whatever. I said photograph immediately. Once he hits the ground, get the phone, photograph. Get over your shock of all of this, photograph. Wouldn't care if he's nude. That would be even better. Photograph. Boop, 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 boop. I'm taking about 10, 15 pictures. Make sure I got at least 5 good ones. We talked about all that last week. I said, man, does anybody have a code when you have to do some sort of workplace sleepover? Because I know even DeMar DeRozan and sometimes professional athletes, sometimes the Olympics they just had, sometimes when you travel, they do require you to share a room. I've seen that before. Not always, but I have seen that sometimes. So do people have a code to minimize that sort of thing? Because I said there is no way we're sharing a room together ever again with Ned or anybody else on the team. Like, oh my, for that sort of conduct. And if it had been me, I go out, we're on a business trip, I go down, it's happy hour at the bar in the lounge for the hotel we're staying at. I go down and they got blue motorcycles on sale for happy hour, and I get about 15 of them, and woo-wee, I am sloshed. Can't remember my name, room number, nothing. And I get confused and stumble into Katie's room, colleague, and, I hop in bed with her half nude, drooling on her pillow. I would have got fired for such a thing. At least, man, that's all kind. There's going to be a written warning in the personnel file and all of that. Ain't no way in the world you went out and got drunk and then hopped in bed and were so out of it they couldn't even rouse you, bloodied like you've been out slaughtering hogs or killing people. We're never rooming again, period. I'm not saying that we got to get a 5-star hotel and you got to get me a penthouse suite, but hey, Me Too era is just not safe. That word again, safe. Safe. Do you think it's safe to have someone drunk and bloody in your bed in the age of COVID? Is that safe? Got to be separate rooms. But does anybody have a code? Does anybody have to do that? Does anybody else, do they do travel and you have to share a room with a coworker? Does anybody else? Is that anybody else? Or does that seem like it is in the realm of possibility where, yeah, that could happen. We might have to do some sort of trip and, the 4 or 5 of us in the office, we got to go out, to wherever together. We might have to stay overnight, a day or two. Is that anybody else? And you're sharing a room together? Jesus Christ, that's like a whole nother level of workplace hazard. But this specific situation that we talked about last week, it would never be repeated because we would not. Even if it got to the point if I had to get my own room, we're not staying together ever again. They're not slaughtering hogs or killing people or both. Let's see. Folks who dialed in, let's see, maybe we got folks who they do have to stay overnight. Do we have people who got their code? You have to stay overnight with people and, make them behave? Let's see. First few folks who dialed in, caller 1159, commentary.
Greetings, Gus, and greetings here, listener. This is the pitiful black male you just spoke about.
Oh,
yeah, I'm still on this this business trip, this work trip. I'm in my own room now, so I will be keeping my own room for the duration of the 6 weeks because as the crew lead, I get my own room. I didn't have my own room that day because I was my first day, and I guess the boss just didn't see. I think I needed my own room. But since that has happened, I've learned some more things about Harry, my coworker. Apparently, according to him, this is not his first time doing something happening in someone's bed, and also he has a criminal record, and one of his charges is menacing. So that's very telling, very very telling of the character of this individual. But it's unfortunate. He's a member of our crew lead, and he has been with the company for a very long time, and I need him around to learn the things I need to learn to be a good crew lead. So, yeah, that's the system for you. The maniacs, the psychopaths are the people who have the knowledge that in my work industry I need to get the knowledge from and be around them. And also, so it's insane but true that in this business we're divers, and we literally have each other's lives and each other's hands. So I have to rely, when I'm diving, I have to rely on him to not, shut my air off and kill me, and vice versa. Not that I would do that to anyone. But yeah, it's really tragic and tacky. And unfortunately, I was not able to take pictures because I was just very, thrown off by the whole situation. Very, very bizarre, shocking. But if it happens again, for some reason, I'll definitely take pictures. And so I don't have much else to say. It's a very horrific experience. And I'll meet my line.
Do you, with this behavior, since he told you he's blacked out like this before, got drunk and hopped in the wrong person's bed before, do you, with the serious, dangerous work that you all do you have any concerns that he might be under the influence while you all are working?
I don't know. I've been working with him for 2 weeks now, and he's very much, when he's on the job, very much sober and serious and reliable. But the moment we're back at the hotel, I can find him at the bars. I don't think. But if I need to go find Harry, I know where he is at. He's at the bar, or he just came from the bar.
Man. Sobriety would be best. I don't know. That would just be one to file away. Anybody with a serious, and white people do a lot of drinking. Yes, I know they have black people, non-white people, period, who have substance abuse problems. Yes, I know. Some C.O.W.S listeners who have wrote me and encouraged, hey, Gus, I appreciate it. Keep saying sobriety would be best. All of that said, white people drink a lot. They brag about it too. Like, man, that would be something I would think about though. Like, ooh, wait, is this dude one day does he slip a fifth of Jack Daniels in before we go? And anyway, whatever.
That reminds me. What you just said reminded me of something he said. This is from Harry. Alcoholism doesn't run in my family. It gallops.
I can't live. I can't live. I can't live. Oh, man. Man. That's the brother that's controlling my oxygen. Man. Man. What? We have got to get this problem corrected. Jesus. And a sick white brother say that the alcoholism, it gallops in the family, which is true. There's some medical truth to that. He has a record. What? Man, I said before he even called in, he's bloody and drunk. Has he been out slaughtering hogs? Or killing people? Or both? Well, he does have that record. Man, come on. How many of you all think you could be the lead on the dive team with a criminal record? You've been out slanging crack, counterfeiting, I don't know, whatever, killing people, slaughtering hogs. I don't know. How many of you all think, well, Leroy deserves a second chance? Come on. And even with all his malfeasance, I'm a smart white man. I learned a few things while I was in the clink. Man, and that's evidence. They got reports that say that if you're classified as white with a criminal record, more likely to get a job than a black dude with a college degree, no criminal record. Things like that'll sap that motivation up. Like, I too am going to get drunk and hang out with Harry at the bar. Vassier all the way around. Much obliged. I'm glad you have your own room. Hopefully that'll be the case forever. I can only say for the other folks who or for his comment, because I thought that was important too. He said he was so stunned by this, and who wouldn't be? WTF, really? To say, oh, wait a minute, let me take a picture. When, like last week, Bay Area mom dialed in, and she said that one of her coworkers gave one of the children a mint or something, piece of candy or whatever. Ended up getting sick and vomited and really bad episode. Could have died, they choked on it. And she said that one of her coworkers, once they, had to clean everything up, save his life, and then clean everything up, said, oh yeah, take a picture, because he had coughed the mint out, said, take a picture of that, boom, boom, boom. It's like, I wouldn't have thought of that either, and that's another, really traumatic situation and everything, but oh yeah, you need to document all this, take a picture. Any sort of event like that happens in a workplace, document, picture, document. Try to get over that shock, especially if it's something that's, I'm really, whoa, what, is he, what, how did he, Harry, get, phone. Click, 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 and then take 5 more. Sheets, everything. Never again. Never again. Oof. If we have suggestions, any other folks, if you have to do like a business trip, because it's even people that make a lot of money, sometimes they do have to take a business trip and share sleeping quarters. If you have to do that sort of thing, let us know. If you figured out this is the way to, man, Harry is not in bed with me. We're not doing none of that. We're not doing no drinking. I can't emphasize enough. At least you don't drink, nor be in, we're not going out and drinking together, and none of that. That way you have your correct working faculties, because if they went out drinking together, right, and knocked out, he might not realize anything is, awry until the morning, if then. Sobriety would be best. But let's see, do we have folks, they figured out a code, you go on a business trip, you got to share sleeping quarters, what to do to maintain safety and make sure that Harry is not in bed with you before the sun gets up in the morning. Let's see. Other folks with a hand up. Let's see.
Greetings, everyone.
Whoops.
Heard both of you. Let's see. We do our young lady first.
Okay. I appreciate that. Thank you. Good evening, callers and listeners. Gus, may I be heard?
Yes, ma'am.
I have just a few reports for this week, and also a response to the initial inquiry that I posed with Human Resources. First report I have, if you recall last week, I told you the white supremacists who, came by the office, thanked everyone, and, I know you just called me young lady, but that's obviously because you do not know my name, but this gentleman did. But this gentleman came in my office on 9/17. He came by and he said, I apologize for, not, speaking to you when I come in this suite. He says it's always because, you're sitting so low at your desk. Anyway, he starts introducing himself, talking all about his life, and basically just, I guess, what you'd call small talk. And for the most part, I just kind of listened to his conversation. Anyway, he gets ready, to leave. And, as he does, he's like, if you ever need anything, you just let me know. And, he kind of gave me a weird look. This gentleman is my supervisor's boss. Next report that I have happened on, I think it was the same, it was on 9/18 when they had the company luncheon where one of our vendors, brought in lunch. If you recall, I mentioned last week that I told you that I, declined on that invitation. So, the lunch is that day. I'm in my office, and I prepare, I get ready to leave. I come back, then I have one white supremacist, ask me, hey, if you want, you need to go by and go and get something. There's plenty of food left. I decline. Sometime later, another white supremacist in my office, asked me about, why don't you go in there and get you something? And I'm like, I will decline. Thank you. Finally, my supervisor, my boss, he's like, this was towards the end of the day. He's like, there's plenty of food left just in case you want to take anything home. And again, I declined. So that's three requests, probably within a few hours, even though I declined that event to begin with. Final report is just on the disposition of, the salary. Try not to be too long-winded. They're basically saying that, I guess, because when they hired me, about 3 years ago, when they started me out, they did start me out at a higher wage because I initially rejected the offer that they proposed, and they came up on it. So fast forward 3 years later, they made changes to the compensation. So they, as I said, they decreased our contract hours, and to keep our yearly salary the same with less hours, less days. So they decreased it about 30 days for the year. They increased the hourly wage to compensate for that. And for some reason, when they increased mine, it put me over the midpoint for the next salary grade. And so basically, it kind of has the implication is that you will ultimately cap out much earlier, especially if the board does not, update the pay scale, because, I told you when they sent me the most current one, it was the same facts and figures from the previous year because they did not add the 3% raise to the different pay band. It's basically the same but they've cut all our days. So essentially, all of the salaries currently are less than, let's say, what they would have been a year ago because they've decreased our days. So I guess at this point, I did ultimately, and I don't know if you think it was a good idea, I did decline the promotion. It would have, basically my pay, frankly, is the same, whether I accept it or I don't accept it. But, my work and what I'm doing, it would be a little bit more. When I thought I was going to get the promotion, I was more proactive with helping my boss and kind of facilitating their work. But now that, I've declined it, my money's not changing, I've kind of stepped back from that because it doesn't benefit me. So I guess ultimately I can appeal this decision to, I believe there's like 4 levels that you can go to. I don't think, Gus, that I'm going to, frankly, get much justice, which is what we're all trying to do. And I think also that I'm kind of, I guess, I don't want to use a euphemism, but I'm aggravating people. So, it's that's ultimately what happened, and I'll mute my line. I just wanted to share an update, and as I said, I am not too confident about going to level 2 to escalate, but that may change as I have about 2 weeks to make a decision. But that is my update for the week. Thank you.
What type of food was this that they were so insistent that you get 2 or 3 doggy bags to take home?
Actually, one of the contractors, it looked like it was barbecue, actually.
I see slaughtering hogs, man. I
saw some baked beans and some potato salad, the usual.
Come on, chitlins. Come on. Now, I do make a mean potato salad. I got pictures online, green onions. Like, I do make a mean roasted garlic, mean potato. But that notwithstanding, come on. I can't even get a raise, but you're going to shove all the barbecue swine and potato. They probably had some southern sweet tea.
I think they did have like pie. I think they had like I said, it was an assortment. I personally, I knew I wasn't going to attend. I got the meeting and I declined it, kind of, right then and there. But they, I got asked, 3 times, but instead I just left for my lunch. But yeah, there was quite a banquet of different things from what I heard. But I passed up on that. If I get the compensation that I deserve, I can buy those things myself if I choose.
Amen. They guys coming. They don't. I guess we did have some folks dial in who say they had like catered food at their job once, but most of the time that's not it. They come and want to shove all this nonsense. They call at the courthouse, said they had the food at the vending machine that expired like last month. They go, well, come on, children, we gotta make sure you get some. Like, come on, I'm good. I'm an attempted mom trying to stay healthy for my child. Like, I do not need all the cholesterol and fat. Come on. Pies, come on. Not to mention who put their hands all this, and they didn't even say just like a piece, like, oh yeah, take a bunch home. You can have some for the whole weekend. I'm like, what? I'm good. Like, we are never going into the workplace to eat, especially this is the same environment. You all won't even give me the accurate pay scale information. I got to go and beg and do Freedom of Information requests to get that, but you want to shove all the barbecue on me? Come on. Not to mention, you got any sort of swango element, and what I mean, you got somebody who's stalking. Oh, where'd you park at today? Oh, yeah, we could meet after work and discuss your raise, make it more tender. Nah, I'm not eating nothing, because then I mess around and eat something, and then, ooh, I'm sick, and what's going on? Oh, you're not feeling okay? Let me drive you home. Make sure you get there. It's like, nah. I'm fine. I'm allergic to pork. Do they have that? You got the pork allergy? I'm allergic to pork. I just found out last week. I don't do none of that. I got the Ozempic. I eat about once a month. Thank you. Come on. Let's see. The rude, even that, you got to come back and apologize for not speaking. I think she told us this is like a legit office. I got a nameplate on the door. I've been here for 3 years. You know my name. It does not, that's why I say with the compliments, even if they do come and they went, oh man, we appreciate all your hard work. Thank you. I'm not, thinking, wow, they appreciate me. I'm not going to have my chest all swollen and wow, I'm one of their favorites. No, like they might fire me today. Much less my bad. Should have said your name and given you all your kudos. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Can't even get my raise. Can't even get my promotion. Any hoodles. I always think that is the correct course of business. She said she looked at the appeals process for the promotion that she had told us before that she turned it down once they, weren't really going to do a whole lot of compensating, same amount of work. Well, they turned her down for the promotion she was seeking and then the whole pay raise situation. And so she turned down this other opportunity, other job opportunity they were going to offer, turns it down. I'll stay in my current position. And that's another one, like I said, with the agricultural housing that the people say they make a little bit too much, and it's probably like they make $1 too much to qualify for the housing. They could go and change the pay scale so that she doesn't cap out early. Say you've been with us for 3 years, dedicated worker. Hey, we'll change it around. Make sure that you battle off that inflation. We know you're a hardworking mommy. We got you. Nah. We don't even want to give you the accurate pay scale information so you can at least see what are we talking about here. All of that to be expected. I would document all the responses and or non-responses. Document all of that. And then just be honest, is this something that I want to pursue in terms of escalating? Do I want to appeal? How likely is it that I think it's going to be successful? Is this going to cause me more problems? Do I have evidence where I think I really have a chance for this appeal being successful? I would incorporate all of that. And even sometimes they just want to waste your time. The appeal process, they can make it take 6 months. Am I willing to invest 6 months of time and energy fighting this? And be honest, because if you're not, I don't even know if I'm gonna be here for 6 months. You can be honest about it. It might
right.
Not,
Right. And I do have that sense of, I want justice and I have a fighting spirit about me, but at the same time, I'm just not very confident because ultimately, the company really, I got, screwed in this instance. But if I look at the job listings from a year ago, they were more in pay, but it's less now because we have less days, and it's basically it kind of it messed me up because when they had to increase my hourly because of the lack of days, it put me over the midpoint. And like right now, I think if they don't extend that pay grade, then I think I'm only like $2 or $3 an hour almost from, capping out. And we get like a 2-3% raise yearly. And usually, like I said, the scale changes with that to adjust. But they're really, seems like they're compressing salary. So, I have that spirit of justice and I, want to prevail, but I just don't think it's worth it. But at the same time, I'm not going to, I've been going over and beyond to kind of, I guess, prove myself, and I have to, scale back on that because my work isn't being, recognized, or it's only going to be recognized with title, but nothing to help me. So, it is what it is. Another day on the plantation.
Indeed. Indeed. And that we talked about that before too. I think it was Bay Area Scholar where he was working as a barista, and it was the same thing where he wasn't getting a raise. He was doing all this hard work, and they were understaffed too. So he was having to do the work of like 2-3 people literally, and he wasn't a manager as well. And he's like, wait a minute. I am doing way too much to not be getting a raise, and I'm not the manager. Let me pull back. I am not, because I think, and again, a lot of times, hard-working person, you would think, yeah, I go in here and I'm on time, and I come here and I'm not messing around and goofing off on YouTube. I work hard, get things done, even try and help them facilitate work. I'll be appreciated. They'll give me that promotion. Nah, I'm trying to get me a little brown sugar. I don't want to do all that. Oh, well, then forget your raise. Now, probably wasn't going to give her a raise anyway, but whatever. I'm serious. I don't want to do all that. I'm not trying to hop in the back seat. Oh, well, forget all that. Cool in the gang. I'm going to just be honest. This is the situation that we're in. These are the folks that I work with. Make sure I don't eat nothing. And, hey, I just plan accordingly. Like, hey, maybe I pursue this. Maybe I don't. I might not even be here in 6 months. But I'm still going to document as best I can. Do as much as I can to make sure that I'm not mistreated in the time that I am here. But yeah, I am not going above and, oh yeah, I'll stay late. Dude, you want me to hop on the assignment? I do my job. Not doing all the extras, and I do my job courteously, professionally. But I'm not doing all that to prove it. No, I would only be proving on the plantation, and you can add the ellipsis, whatever it is, I'm loyal, I'm dignified, I work on the plantation. Always say that just so that we can be reminded, like, oh yeah. White people are not confused about niggers working hard. There's nothing unique, startling, surprising about hardworking slaves. That's, centuries of that. Let's see. Much obliged, young lady. Retired firefighter in Florida. Much obliged for your patience, sir. Should be with us as well.
Yes, greetings, everyone. I would say the fire service by nature has quarters for rest and relaxation. And it depends on where you are working at, if you get the chance to use it. It's not, some places you don't get that whole lot of chances to use it, and your comfort could be just a lounging chair in the day room. But they do have quarters, what is called quarters. It's similar to a military, enclave, except it has barriers. When I first got on, some of the stations were actually a white person's house that that I think that they leased to Miami-Dade County. So it was like, bedrooms and whatnot. They started hiring females. Of course, the first ones were white. So bedding was reasonably pretty close. But they put barriers. They put barriers up. And in the modern day fire stations, they are built with borders. It wouldn't be anything on the top. It would be on the side, on the side, and there would be like a bed sheet or curtain would be in the entrance of it. That sort of thing. And of course I was on before cell phones were of use. So anything like somebody talking on their telephone didn't exist until late in my career. With the advent of traveling, I was listening to you, and I have a question. Were you speaking about a hotel room with just one bed?
From what we were told, the caller was with us. I believe there were 2 different beds in the room. From how it was described, the white fellow who was drunk, Harry, he was supposed to have gotten in his bed. He did not. He went and hopped into our privileged black male's bed. So I think there were at least 2 beds in the room.
Oh, okay. Because I was fixing to say, and I'm sure you know that hotels have single beds and double beds, but now it's clarified to me that the person was so intoxicated that it may not have been just intoxicated, may have been on purpose, but that would have been the last time he jumped in the bed when I was in it. But first and foremost, I would have to know that person that I would be rooming with. Automatically, the disqualification would have been a white person, automatically. But even with a non-white person, that person would have to qualify with me, or either I wouldn't go, or I would ask whoever's in charge of the rooms that I need another room. As far as, I think you asked about a code, and that would be my code. I traveled, I was, before fire department, I was an athlete in college, and I didn't have no white teammates. I was at a HBCU, didn't have any white teammates, so primarily that issue didn't exist. But even with a black teammate, we were, from my memory, of similar social behavior. I put it in that term. So it wasn't. I don't recall any problems at all. From the standpoint of on the fire department, and I went to a quote unquote black firefighters convention in Washington, D.C. It was somebody that I was familiar with. That's so long ago, I don't remember exactly who the person was, but I'm pretty sure that I was pretty familiar with the person that I was rooming with in the 2-bedroom situation. And, the person, we both would act professional, that sort of thing. I don't use alcohol or any smoking type of objects, and that person, anybody who would be around me in that type of situation would respect that and wouldn't even use it in the room, actually, with me. But I never had any problems in that way. But I would advise anyone, be aware. This is before the event even is still far away. Be prepared. Have a code on what you're going to do, what you're not going to do, and if you have to write it down, and be prepared if you have to, or if it's necessary, to either ask for or pay for a single room of your own. Or let's say if it's a single room and you're not willing to, or you can't afford the salary, then the idea would be I just won't go. From that standpoint, because I would need to have a single room, as far as that concerned, and there would be no negotiation on that. Then again, I don't know anything about it because it's not a part of my employment background to it being a requirement to go to such an X place and have a hotel room with a fellow coworker. That's that whole situation. I know it's probably in some places a requirement, but it wasn't a requirement with me at all. But hopefully I said something that makes sense and is helpful to somebody who's listening. That's it. Thank you.
Much obliged, retired firefighter in Florida. And I think that's important too. As I stated, like, hey, you know in advance, and even with another non-white person, because I think he made emphasis on that as well, retired firefighter, that I certainly, the code, I'm not sharing a room with a white person, period. And then even if it's a non-white person, hey, just because they got a lot of melanin does not mean that is my black brother. I'm going to have to see if they're going to behave. Gus T can be loud sometimes and running off at the mouth about Brussels sprouts, and I don't know. Might have to get a single room for him too. That is important. Same, because I say it all the time. You go in a workplace, we are not friends. So even if you do work with all non-white people, you might still want to have that code. Hey, I'm not sharing a room. I know plenty of non-white people. Once they're away from the job, it's Cavassier time. I don't know if I want to be around that either. Even non-white people. I don't know about this room sharing thing with colleagues. You see the Diddy? See? I don't know all that room sharing, even with non-white people. And, hey, I might have to, and you could even, I was going to say you can get, your own room. Hey, if y'all were going to put in on how much you all going to spend on a double, I'll pay the difference and get a room for myself. Because, and safety, I would just keep emphasizing that word. Safety. I'm telling you, I've worked jobs where they told us in training, like as soon as we started the job, they knew, hey, from time to time, maybe once a year, twice a year, whatever, we have get-togethers after hours, away from work. Alcoholic beverages might be served or not. Either way, you are to behave. And any sort of conduct like what we heard, I'm drunk, hopping in bed with other people, encroaching on their safe space, making them feel unsafe, all of that is grounds for dismissal. They covered all that in the training to let us know. Like, even if we're not at work, if it is a workplace function, you are still held to certain standards of conduct, which I did. Bravo. So, I'm just a big advocate. Going out and all of that, I'm not sharing a room. And then I would still, if there's going to be any sort of overnight, we got to go do a training maybe, because I've seen that you got to do a training, so you have to send 4 or 5 staff off for a week sometimes to Colorado, Alaska, whatever, to do some sort of training. Maybe there should be an HR refresher about what is, to be expected of everybody on this trip, and conduct, what to do, what not to do, liquor, all that, drugs, swapping rooms, all that. Any hoodles. Number again, 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Let's see, I'll read one email that will nab some of our folks who dialed in. We'll be broadcasting every day except for Monday. Oh, man, lame. That is our intro to Autumn 2024. From now through next Saturday, we'll be broadcasting every day except for Monday. I don't know what's special about Monday, but other than Monday, we will be here 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, every day. Let's see. Our one email, invest if you think the cows is constructive, listener-supported, counter-racist radio. Hit the blog, racism-notes.blogspot.com, racism-notes.blogspot.com. PayPal button in the top right corner. Beneath the button, you'll see the link for Cash App, Venmo, and PayPal. Also, the link for the Amazon wish list. You can hit Amazon. Gus, T Renegade. Huge thanks to all the folks who have invested for 15 plus years. Hopefully the Cows has been, continues to be worthy of your time and energy. Let's see. Email number 1. Greetings, Gus and Cows audience. I've been filling job applications and preparing for interviews, so I haven't been able to write in for the last few weeks. A lot has happened. A lot is happening, and I realize I should have left this team a long time ago. I wasted time hoping things would improve when the racist ex-manager was around, and wasted time hoping things would get better with Shauna. The racism and anti-black toxicity were evident early, so it was not worth deluding myself that the behaviors would improve. The longer you're in an abusive, because that's what it is, environment, the more it affects your confidence. If I'm honest, it's made me fearful to leave because I don't want to move into a worse team. But then I realized that where I am is not sustainable. It is a big organization with lots of scope to find a better team. So I've decided the maximum I will stay in any team is 2 years, then move on. My Wi-Fi went down Monday morning. Shauna and I had a meeting with a rep from an outside company at 10 a.m. 10 minutes before, I sent her a text explaining the situation and that I would join ASAP. At 10:15, I sent another text letting her know the Wi-Fi was still down. She said it was fine and that she could do the meeting. At 11:30 a.m., she sent another text requesting that I let her know when the Wi-Fi was back up. I let her know it was still down. 12:30 p.m., another text. I replied with the same message. At this point, I realized I should screenshot the status of the fault which was available on the Wi-Fi provider's website, just in case I was called a liar. Document. That's what I mean, like especially anything sort of a problem, I could be blamed, criminal liability, safety issue. These are just things I can think of. There are probably lots others, but these are the sexually inappropriate conduct, all of that stuff. Document. That's what I mean about pictures. Even things under normal circumstances, maybe not. But here, oh yeah, in case they try to say, yes, you are lying. You had some sort of crack cocaine transaction that you were trying to steal time to go and take care of. Like, what? No. The what? That screenshot. Boop. All of that. That way will be no, that she lied, she made this up and all that. Nope. The Wi-Fi is down. Let's see. She messaged again at 2:30 p.m. stating this looks like it might be persistent, so you need to make alternative arrangements for the next day. I didn't respond, but took another screenshot. 5:50 p.m. out of work hours. She messaged me again. We talked about that last week. She messaged me again, specifically, make arrangements to come into the office. I didn't reply as these messages are to my personal mobile and bordering on harassment. Dang, why is it on my personal? 9:10 a.m. the next day, another text. Are you working from home or going to the office? My Wi-Fi was back online. The team members message each other good morning every day in the Zoom chat. I had left my message at 9 a.m., so felt no need to respond to Shauna's text. She rarely logs on before 9:45 a.m. She didn't see my message in the Zoom chat because she didn't get to work until 10:05 a.m. Yet, I was on her mind the evening before and the first thing the next day. I hurt my ankle at the end of July and have been working at home to allow it to heal. Oh, man. There is no sympathy for black people. That's why you still don't have that chair. There is no sympathy for black people. They got data on this. White people just don't sympathize with black people. So you can think of it. The white chick who worked, one of her colleagues snorting crack, opioids, fentanyl, all of it. She's got a drug problem. They give her money to straighten up and fly right, get housing. She spends it on crack cocaine or strippers, both, whatever. They sympathize, oh man, she's nodding off in meetings and all the rest of it, slurring, everything, got cocaine on her mouth and everything. They don't care. She keeps a job. They sympathize with her. She's white. She hurt her back. We supposed to get her a chair. Nigger woman. She's gold bricking. We're not getting her. She's trying to steal the chair. That's what she's going to do. See, that's how they, And then I hurt my ankle and got to work at home. This lazy nigger woman is making up. First it's her back, now it's her ankle. Sounds like she's straight out of Friday. Just hop on the floor any old day. My back, my neck, I need a chair. That's what they think. Even individuals who are classified as non-white. That is how we are trained. If it's a white person, oh my God, we'll sympathize with them. And, oh, Becky, or they might even hear the fella that called in. You kicked Harry out of the bed. Shame on you. He's having a tough time. You know he got divorced, and it's been hard on him, and he just had to blow off a little steam. Why would you kick him out of bed? You should have get victims, man. Victims. Any hoodles. You would think, man, are you okay? Can we bring you some chicken noodle soup? You rolled your ankle. Don't think about kind of get on it. And people will be mad, like, you got away with something, sitting around at home like you're some queen and all the rest. Like, geez. She said toxicity. Absolutely. Especially when I should get some say, what? Y'all not even looking out for me, man. They ain't got your back. Let's see. Hurt my ankle. They don't care. Been working at home to allow it to heal, which she's aware of. Yet, she's demanding I be in the office. I wondered if her behavior was because the team received an urgent piece of work that we needed to respond to. No way. We just ain't, nigger. Get in here, hop along. And then you get in the office with the ankle and be limping, and they'll tease you about that. Once she established that I was back online, that was it. She didn't contact me the rest of the day. Mad because you're at home. And that's the rage in her. It's irrational. She grimaces at her computer when she's in the office. One evening, I was leaving the office, packing my bag and putting on my coat. And she turned to say goodnight to her. Oh, and I turned to say goodnight to her. I caught her staring at me from behind a post. The look on her face was pure contempt. Wait, black sister. What? We supposed to be black sister? What? Now, see, that's where like, okay, we have to do any sort of road trip. We cannot share a room. I roll over at 2 o'clock in the morning, can't sleep, rub sleep out of my eyes. Ah! Jesus, Lord. She's looking at me just like that. Whoa, what is going on? I'm just going to the bathroom. Whoa, I can't sleep with all that hate bearing down on me. Back up, black sister. Whoa. And again, that's the same thing. So would you be mean mugging even that white chick who was nodding off in the meeting and took all the money to go buy crack and fentanyl? Do you sit around and mean mug her? Making it tough on. Maybe I want some money to put a down payment on a house and you mess the program up for me. You sit around and make ugly faces at her and such. White people most to blame, but that doesn't make it any better. Like, man, individuals classified as non-white, black, whatever, they are not your homies in the workplace. Anywhere on the plantation, really, but especially in the workplace, we're just courteous. That's it. Just courteous. And don't expect courtesy in return. This is not a reciprocal type thing. That's just the code. I'm just courteous. It's not, you got to be cool with me to get it. Nope. I'm just courteous, and I expect lots of toxicity and anti-blackness in return, but I'm just courteous. Ugh. Around here. Even when she's mean mugging me, I'm about to leave. I'm putting on my coat, about to leave. All right, Sean, I'll see you later. All righty, let me get out of here. Whew. Yikes. Make sure no roommate with Shauna. When I come in the next morning, Shauna, she can still be, all right. Now, I probably would have to document that. Because if you're not doing all that, if you do that with everybody, cool. That's everybody just knows Shauna, she's not Miss Bubbly Sunshine personality. We got it. But if you're just going to do that and have all that scorn for me exclusively, is that professional? Whew. Let's see. I was taken aback and reacted by asking if everything was okay. She quickly corrected her face and said, "Oh, I was thinking you are a very stylish woman." Oh, man. Now, see, that's what I've been talking about. I didn't come here to be stylish, slick, cool, cute, none of the, because I've even seen that. Where it might be you come in here and you are styling and profiling. Like Vogue magazine has you on speed dial. Whoa, where did you get this? Front cover, right there. That might be the guy. You know what? The same thing as if you are competent, intelligent, do your work well, show up on time, show up early, every day, reliably so. The same thing. Scorn and contempt. We heard that loud. We've heard that all the time. The young lady who dialed in, they can't even get her name right. Young lady. Where the dude is stalking her and keeping track of her parking and all that. It's the same thing. If she were not attractive, were not intelligent, it would be a totally different work experience. We've heard that over and over and over. Even if you are competent and attractive, might even draw the ire of other non-white people, victims of white supremacy. White people are to blame for that, but that doesn't make it any better. Ooh. Man, you're such a that's why you got that look on your face, because I'm stylish? Whew, that's even more of a reason. I'm going to be real prudish from now on if that is the case. Like, wow, no leather jackets, no jewelry. Like, wow. Whew. And if I was a white person and I was stylish, you'd have that same sourpuss mug on your face. It was the dead of winter, and I wasn't dressed in anything spectacular. She said the first thing that came into her head, and we both know she was lying. My response was, really? That was last February when things were apparently good between us. She's never liked me, and I realized her smiles were fake from the beginning. There's much more, which I'll report on next week. Man, I can only say she started all this and saying just, accepting when you're in a really toxic work environment and trying not to be in a position of hoping that things will get better. That is very important. You always want to be mindful of, hey, now what's happening in this environment? Because it changes. People get fired. People leave voluntarily. People retire. Even what you want, changes in a work environment. So being mindful now, hey, that's very logical. The white woman, racist, she's leaving. She wasn't up to snuff, didn't get the promotion. Now we got a non-white person. That's reasonable. Well, let's see, how this is going to change the dynamic. Is it going to be better, worse, the same? Let's see. Wow. Okay. Now we got a non-white person, black person. It has not improved at all. Might even be worse. All righty. She said, I'm already going to figure out a code. I really don't need this much stability to stay in one unit for a really long time. I can move. This is a big organization, and that's something I've talked about before, especially if you're in a large group, large organization where they might have multiple office locations and or they have one location, but they got 600 employees there. That means they have lots of positions. That means you shouldn't have to be stuck working with one group. Like, man, I should be able to migrate, go over here, go over there, go to a whole nother building if I need to switch things up. And then I can include thinking of other companies too, but definitely take advantage of that. especially if it's benefits, you've been there for a long time and you want to maintain some of that, some of the seniority that you had that you would maintain if you just, move down the hall, as opposed to if you move to a different city. Love it. And even the code about it, that I'm not even going to be thinking that I'm going to be here for 2, 3, 4 years because of the racism and the toxicity. That way I can keep it moving. I can just keep learning, and I'm not having to be stuck with any one person for a very long time so they can have all of these totally irrational anti-black grievances or racist grievances to just take that out on me, when I could be moving around, meeting other folks and trying to minimize some of that. Maybe even find some folks that I can work well with together. How about that? Any hoodles. Let us know on the job search, because I think that's so important too. When a work environment becomes so toxic, sometimes we get, as she said, fearful. I think that's a big part of a lot of these work environments. It is deliberately to diminish our black self-respect, confidence in ourselves, that we can get things done. We could get another job. You got this job, you can get another job, that we could accomplish all kinds of things to just get us like, no, I've got to stay here and do this, and what will my life be like? What will the world be like if I don't, work this job? So definitely do not get locked into that way of thinking about even your so-called dream job, even if we were not in the abusive type working place that she's telling us about. Even so, do not even, I'd in fact say that should be a red flag. A job that's diminishing your self-esteem, making you feel like you're kind of dumb and not a very capable person. It should be the opposite way. On a job, you should be learning skills, gaining confidence about the things that you can do, and now you know even more than when you first started this job. Not just, I'm forgetting the input that I did have when I started this job. Like, wait a minute, what is happening here? Any hoodles. Let's see. Email untiljustice@gmail.com. The number 605-313-5164. The code 564-943#. Press *61 if you would like to participate. Bay Area mommy should be with us as well. I'll look for other hands, other folks with emails.
Can I be heard?
Yes, ma'am.
Greetings to you all. Thank you for taking my call. It is Friday, yay! So I don't get a chance to listen to the commentary, the clips, but I can time in around 6 or a little before 6. So you asked sharing sleeping quarters with a coworker. I've never done that. I don't recall ever having to do a business trip or being in an environment where I had to share sleeping quarters with a coworker. I don't recall. I'm very funny style. I don't like people. So even with my associates that I frequent, and we're going on outings or events, I prefer my own room because people are different, and if I'm by myself, then there's no complaints. If I can't afford my own space, I usually don't go. So if I were working, especially these days, I would have to have my own space, even if I had to pay for it. Because I don't want to be bothered with the people that I work with like that. I don't want to be in their space overnight or for too many hours. So I wouldn't do that, and I haven't done that. So my workplace racism, I want to share 3 points. One, the little gentleman that the children called Mr. Aggressive, because the children called him that. So the teachers can't unless they're sneaking or whispering, but the children, they can say anything, so the children would call him that. So his last day at the school was today. His father, instead of telling the school, he texted me and told me, So I'm telling the after-school program director, I was like, oh, so so-and-so is leaving? She's like, well, I think his last day is tomorrow, right? She said, I didn't know that. So I pulled up my telephone. Well, his dad texted me and told me. And she's like, oh, okay, well, I didn't know. So then I guess that they told the school thereafter. So the little boy knew. And the dad also said thank you to me for how I took care of him in my care. Because after school, I do look out even in passing. I do, okay, safe hands. I always, I give him little fidgets. So today I gave him therapy. Because he's always got to do something aggressive with his hands. So I figure, and I had a container of some firm therapy. So I gave it to him because I could always buy me some more. I never used it. It wasn't open. But it always helps with the children to have things to do with their hands when they're busy like that. So it's a firm one. So since he's aggressive, he can use that strength on that firm plate. Has a container. I gave it to his mom when she came to pick him up. And I told her about it when she dropped him off this morning. And I always talk, and I'm sure that people were, why is she talking to her? Because I'm logical, so that's why the mom talks to me. So this is his last day. Now, his behaviors will follow him. He's not home safe. He's just going to another school in Oakland, California, where maybe those teachers will be able to communicate with the parents differently and get him some kind of behavioral assistance so he can kind of redirect how he deals with things versus always being aggressive and hitting everybody and so forth. So he's gone. His dad promised us pizza this Friday, but I guess after yesterday, maybe because the little boy came out crying because he was terrorizing the kids and just messing with it. He just kept bothering and hitting and pushing the kids. And then he wanted them to do something to him so he could say, and start crying. So right before his dad came, when they was like, okay, it's time for you to go home, he just, started crying. He told them how to tear his paper up, so they did. And then he just started crying. So then when he goes outside, he was telling the person that was walking with him, the adult that was taking him to his dad, I don't care anyway because tomorrow's my last day. So that kind of stuff. And then when, of course, his dad picks him up, it's like, oh, my God, what's wrong with you now? So maybe that's why we didn't get pizza today. And Mom picked him up instead of Dad, I guess, because we would have been, hey, where's our pizza? So just funny. We didn't care, but it was movie day today for us. But it's okay. We didn't tell the children that they were going to get pizza. So for a young man that they keep in the in his office is inside of a room. There's only one way out, and you have to go through the tech room to get out, or unless you jump out the window, which you can't. So it's a room inside of a room. That's his office. The tech area is used for people come in and out. They have different things it's not so, for instance, in the afternoons, they'll have a reading group that comes up and they'll get on the laptops. It's like maybe 12 children will come up there and do their reading, the ones that need assistance reading, even if it's their speakers, English is their second language, or if they just struggle to read in general. They come up there for maybe 30 minutes, and they have someone on the computer that works with them, and you can hear just talking and all that. Is so cool for me. I sit up there because I have to watch the child that's in the room doing the ABA. So even though he has ABA and they don't want us in there, I'm in there. So I sit there, and it really bothers ABA because you can't tell, no, I'm in there. So I'm in there watching, so you can't just mistreat them. But once you go in that room and close that door, you can mistreat them. Or however, but he's going to, he told the man, I know he curses that man out. So he'll take him in that room. He'll take his laptop. Now, mind you, he comes during his leisure time. but he'll take his iPad and put it way up where he can't reach it. And y'all hear me there, I can't reach it. So I didn't know. I sat in one direction the other day when he was saying that, so I didn't know what was going on, what he couldn't reach. But when I sat towards the door today by the window, I can see what he couldn't reach. It's the laptop that he ended up getting from him, but he can only do it when he's in the room because we can't see. So he had an overlap with the BCA, BA. She came because ABA is not really working. So she came to overlap, I assume. Now, mind you, he's so experienced. We don't need any of your people around because he's so experienced. And he's not so experienced. He's a nightmare. And I normally have to stop the sessions and do something else with the little boy. And they don't like that because how dare me, my little nothing self, stopping stuff and saying stuff. So I was trying to be quiet a lot this week and just sit there to make sure the little boy feels safe. So, but what they like to do is keep him in the room and not come out. So I even saw that white guy, he was trying to keep him from going out of the door. It's just locking him in. It's not necessary to lock him in. He's not going to leave the school. And if he does, you just run behind him or something. I don't mean us, but I just mean him since he's there for him. But you don't have to lock him in. And so he locks him in and let's do this, let's do ABC, such and such. And he tries to act like he's caring, but it's fake. He's just pretending. This is his job for whatever reason. I don't know what he's trying to be, but he's not a good, whatever he is, dealing with behavior, he's no good. And he doesn't like this little black boy. Now, he was trying to get out the door, and the way he threw him or the way he just pushed it to keep him from going out of the door is just like the little boy kind of slid. So I just looked at him. So I was like, no, I'm just going to watch. So the little boy's jumping off from table to table, just jumping, running from him, and spitting on him, just kicking, fighting him because he's been restraining him from coming out of the little closet room. And then once he got a chance to bust through, you can see him blocking him, so he's trying to cut through his legs. And I'm just watching because I'm watching. So I had called the case manager. I texted her and said, I think this guy might need your help. So I wanted her to see how he just closes the door, regardless of the fact that we requested the door to be open. And for her to see what goes on in this. So she knocked on the door, are you okay? And then he's like, yeah, okay. You should, okay. Well, then she said he's okay, but I'll be back in 10 minutes. So I was like, okay. She didn't come back, but I went to get her right before the session was over, maybe 20 minutes after she had left, because all you hear is boom, 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 and the little boy hollering and screaming. So he comes out. I went to go get the case manager. She's black, and she's very tall, so I'm sure she's intimidates. Very pretty, but I'm sure she intimidates people because she's very tall. and so he wouldn't deal with her if he didn't know she was the case manager. You can tell he doesn't like the black or the black school, none of that. So she got him. She gave him a piggyback ride, and he however she, redirected him. And she's like, want to go with me? We're going out here. And I said, yeah, I'll go. And we left this gentleman in there in the room. And she asked me, would I take him to go feed the birds? Because I started taking him to feed the birds since he's been doing ABA to kind of just release the stress. I just figured because we do the weather by watching the birds, we talk about the birds. He's a more natural environment guy, so a lot of the things I do with him is natural environment. And I took him to feed the birds. I made the white guy, when I stopped the session, I made him go with me. The one time I was like, hey, come on, we finna go feed these birds. You coming too. And then this time, it was requested for us to go. So we went, and it was great.
I did do that peppermint tea because I have peppermint leaves in the in the cabinet just to share. So we went out. He loves to feed the birds. I just started this though, and I get bread so we can, just if we need to, and I'm allowed to take them out because there's a big park space, a lot of grass, a lot of land, and then next door is a park. So we've got a lot of grass, and he loves it. It keeps him, calms him down. The white guy even loved it. They just don't like that it's my idea. It's me making you do. So the white lady came yesterday, and I ended up taking him to go feed the birds after they left. They couldn't do anything with him because they couldn't get him in that room because he wouldn't go in the room. He was staying out where I was. So he's like, no, I want to go see what Miss So-and-so is doing, and that's me. So he's like, hey, what's up? I'm like, hey, what's up with you, man? And so he's like, nothing. So he like, oh, that's so cute how he just said, I just like how he just said what's up to her. And, just that kind of stuff. So just foolish because they're really tripping off of the relationship I have with him and how they don't have one. So she said when the session was over or when we just stopped it, she said, well, I want to see, it was time to go. They didn't make him do anything. They just kind of did what they should have did in the first place, which is allow him to be him and you're in his world. So when they were leaving, he started crying because they've already frustrated him because he had said, Mr. So-and-so. And he just kept saying, because they was like, what do you want to do? You want to color or look out the window? I want to stay here and look out the window. So then the guy said something to him, and he said, what do you want to spell? What do you want to write? What letter do you want to use? And he said, F-U-C-R. F-U-C-K. Fuck. Mr. Such and Such, could you please fuck off? So I'm just sitting there. I'm like, oh, boy. So then he didn't say anything. But I know when they in that room, he's probably doing whatever to him when he says whatever he says. So the white lady said, oh, did you hear that? So he didn't, the white guy. I don't know if he said anything or not because I didn't look up. I'm just listening. So, but I'm still in the room. So nobody responded to him. So then he kept following. He's like, stop fucking following me. So this is a little 7-year-old. So nobody responded. So they took him. He ran out. He got a chance to get out. And then so they picked him up and let him look out the window at the birds. So then I don't know what they told him. They told him he can feed the birds or whatever, but they ended up just leaving, and they don't conclude the session. They just, oh, see you later. This is, you don't conclude anything. You just bounce on them. And so he started crying, and then I went and got his feelings sharp. Now, the guy went downstairs, but the lady was just saying, she's like, I want to see what she does. So you can see what I do. So I got his feeling chart. I asked him, it's a slew of different things, words, and he'll read it, and then he picked mad, because he was feeling mad. I was like, okay, put your shoes on. Let's go. So I put his shoes on, and I got his coat, even though I didn't need it, and I had some bread, because I went to the store, and I got some bread, and she's like, where are you guys going? I said, we're going to go feed the birds. Oh, you're going outside? Yes, we're going outside to feed the birds. Is it safe? And I said, oh, no, it's safe. It was safe for you to pull up here. It's safe. And we're going to go feed the birds because ABA is stressful for him, and I need him to be unstressed before he goes home in 30 minutes. So I took him. I was like, goodbye, Mr. So-and-so, and then I took him. He's bye after. And so I went and reached behind the counter where I had the bread because I asked the receptionist to hold the bread for me until whenever I got it. So I grabbed it, took it. We fed the birds. He was great. Today the guy came and just stayed in his environment, and don't you push it, but he did take his iPad from him. That's how I noticed. So there's a black gentleman that comes in the same room, the big guy that keeps up all the loud one that's a bit extra. So he terrorizes this little black guy, and he comes up to our space in the tech area, and he just mistreats this little third-grade black guy that can't even read. This guy is crying, asking for help. He's crying. Would you help? No, I ain't helping you. If I help you, I'm doing the work. He's just yelling at him, cracking jokes at him, and just messing around. He's so childlike. And so he's just terrorizing this child. He does this he goes in different spaces all throughout the school where there's places where he knows he can mistreat the child and no one will say anything. He goes in those areas and he really terrorizes this child. So I wasn't feeling it this week. So yesterday I said something. I walked over to the little boy because he's crying for help. Mind you, this boy can't read, but he's got to find these crossword puzzles. This guy's sitting there with his feet up on the desk talking about, I got all day. I ain't helping you. If I help you, I'm doing your work. And he's just mistreating this boy and just stripping him of his self-worth. He already has issues at home. He can't read. He has other learning disabilities. So I got up and I walked over to the crossword puzzle, and I said, well, and he, get away from my subject. Get away from him. You can't say nothing to him. You can't help him. I said, they told me not. And just started yelling and screaming. I said, I'm just looking. I just wanted to see because he's asking for help. He's been crying for 3 days asking you to help. I hear you. Just stay away. You ain't even listening. I said stay away from my subject. Don't touch my subject. Just going all off. So what ended up happening is I do behavior, buddy. I'm not. You're just crazy. So, of course, someone ended up coming to me, talking to me about the situation, and they said, we told him the day before to stop doing that. And now you're telling him today, and he's going off on you. So something happened to where he's helping the little boy, and he's not yelling at him. And they minimize his spaces to where he has to go, he can't conduct himself like that. And he definitely can't conduct himself like that anymore in the space where I share, because you're not going to break that boy down. So thank you. Sorry for rambling. I will mute my line.
Black brother. Like brother of hell.
Much obliged, Bay Area mom. I almost played it twice. Man. Had several rounds of individuals classified as black being hostile to other black people. Very common all over the world. Black and I'm proud. Black and I'm proud. Any hoodles, I was embarrassed while we were thinking about all this. She was talking about going out to feed the birds and such. It's like, man, they're right there. They could be, we'll do a Bill Russell project. We don't have to pick rambunctious niggers like the Black Panthers. Take somebody safe. Bill Russell, right down the road. We'll talk about Bill Russell in the Bay Area, his experience, reading. That's one. Jonestown, Zebra, so many things, local. Any hoodles. She said, Bay Area mom, she said that they started with Mr. Aggressive. Said the other children call him Mr. Aggressive, even though the staff are not supposed to call him Mr. Aggressive, perhaps because his name is not aggressive. But the children, they still think that that is an endearing title, so that Mr. Aggressive. Anyway, he is not coming back to the school. Glory to the privileged black man. He didn't even tell them. Dip on y'all like we will Mr. Aggressive you. They said, what? Mr. Aggressive not coming? What do you mean? I didn't even, what? And he reached out to Bay Area moms specifically. It seems like it's a number of parents who've reached out to, share their personal gratitude for her efforts to help non-white children in particular, as what happened with Mr. Aggressive's father, privileged black male. But that alone, like, what did they call you at the school? Mr. Aggressive. I want my black boy who is not a man, I want him to be known as Mr. Aggressive. Gotta watch that one down to the end. That's Mr. Aggressive. He'll get, he gets his arm in it tight and put the cuffs tight on that one. That's, yeah, we got Mr. Aggressive in here today. And then they tell you Leroy has mental health issues, but he doesn't want to talk about it. Well, you've called me Mr. Aggressive since I was 2. Anyway, she said the white fella, teacher, he doesn't like the black people. Doesn't like the black students. Doesn't like the black teachers, case managers. Man, hey, who likes black people? Right on. But, man, I mean, why are you here, sir? I mean, if you don't like the black people, are you just here to be racist? Which it seems like it could be. So I'm like, man, I mean, the children, I said they see that when, dang, he has a nasty attitude to the adult black people too, so-called. He has a nasty attitude towards them too. Like, they process all of that. She's told us lots of stories of that where it seems like the teachers don't like the black staff either. Sometimes even the non-white staff don't like the black staff. They especially don't like competent black people. Heard that a few times today, and throughout the years of neutralizing workplace racism, she comes up with an idea. I know. Let's not banish Mr. Aggressive to solitary confinement. I mean, the sensory room. Let's not banish them to the blacktop. How about let's go outside and feed the birds? This nigga woman, here we go. We got a nice big solitary confinement chamber, all the weapons we need, and you want to go talk to the woodpeckers. Coon. That's when they, especially when they say, oh man, Leroy likes feeding the woodpeckers. Calms him right down. So, what? A sparrow. Ooh. Coon. And then I gotta be roped into it. I gotta come out here with Leroy and pick out the sparrow. I just want to shove him in the solitary confinement, man. Slam the door on old Leo. Mr. Aggressive. Well, I think that's two different ones, but same thing. I just want to shove him in the thing, you know, the solitary confinement. Get in there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what they do when you got like one of the beasts at the zoo. See, you get the tigers and the bears. See, you just get the chair and the ladder. Yeah, get in there. Yeah, yeah. That's the same thing they do with Mr. Aggressive. Put him in there and you better beg. See if you can reach the pillow. If you can't reach your ass, what? No pillow for you. That's play around with sex. You get the white teacher who doesn't like black people, the black students, black faculty, black counselors, none of the above. That's going to be your child's instructor when you play around with sex. And then get the black custodial staff, who also seems to dislike black people. So many people in the world, right in that category. That's how they feel about black people. All of them. Diddy, Obama, Michelle Obama, all of them. All of us, really. And these are children that need the most help. Said he was crying. Can we even get it? I can't get you a tissue. The same thing I just, back, slash ready. Like, what the, why are you, I want, now, does this black fella, does he get to talk to any of the white children like that? I suspect they got at least one white child at this facility. Does he get to, squirrel them away, find a corner where can't anyone hear? Look at you, old cracker. Shut up. Get her. I don't know. Black man She just goes to look, and he's ready to yell at you. Get back. Get back. I heard about you taking children out, talking to the birds. Get on out of here. Around here, you got to be tough on them. See, we got a jail suit line, and we need one for you, too. Matter of fact, coming around here trying to help somebody, and she went and snitched. This is not supposed to be happening. I thought we were supposed to be helping these children. What is going on? Got him in tears? What is going on here? Embarrassing, but Brian, that's another one. Like, hey, you play around with sex, he'll be working with your child next. Shut up, Leroy. Put your hand down. You don't need a shut up. Shut all that crying. Shut up. What are you doing? That's like, that is so plantational, because like that's how we've been trained. This thing, you've had like that exact setup for centuries. To have a black person fussing, yelling. I just watched that. They had clips of that in the Congo, like literally clips of that in the Congo 100 years ago. Black person with a whip. Yeah, shut up. Pick that rubber. Yeah, hurry up, faster. Yeah. Plantation. That's what you can expect, though, for your child. Play around with sex if you want to. That'll be them crying. Shut up. Ah. Or they shove you off in the solitary confinement room. Better hope you got Bay Area mom there to look out. Oh, my Lord. How long? How many weeks has he been in the solitary confinement room? Lord, what's going on here? Man, much obliged. She said the little fella, she said it twice. She said the little fella who was crying and being terrorized by the black dude, she said he can't read. That is enough to cry about, because it didn't sound like she was talking about somebody who was, 5, 6 even. Sounded like she was talking about somebody who might have been a little bit older than that. Can't read, a privileged black male even. Can't read. Man, what am I doing in school but cry? Jesus, I can't do nothing, especially at this grade. Like, what am I do? What am I do? And then you don't even want to have, you're just going to fuss at me. Woof. Just take me to the, solitary confinement. Yes. Take me to the Khalif Browder room right now. This is as best I'm Khalif Browder room right now, please. Thank you. Wake me up when all this is over. What I got to say to get a pillow? What's the magic word to get a pillow around here? Man. Woof. Much obliged for sharing, Bay Area mom. Got to laugh to keep from crying on mine. I do not have offspring. I do not have offspring. Disgraceful. Let's see. Number to dial, 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Let us not wait till the last moment if you have commentary to share. We'll be here tomorrow, same time, compensatory call in, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, and every day from now through next Saturday, kicking off autumn 2024 aggressively. We could be Mr. Aggressive too in a counter-racist, hopefully constructive manner, but every day, same time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Back tomorrow, Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Whew. Then I can pause to wipe my brow. Active for I think this is the equinox or the solstice? I have to get my planetary events together, but either way, seasonal change on the planet. And I think it's official like this calendar weekend. So anyway, let us know. It's equinox. Yes, that's it. Autumn equinox this weekend. So we'll be active through and through every day but Monday. Anywho, the email untiljustice@gmail.com, number 605-313-5164, the code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate, give folks like 2 minutes, see if they have any other thoughts, observations, or if we have any other tips. If you have to do that overnight stay thing with a coworker, same room. Bay Area mom says she's not doing that either for safety concerns. She says the same thing that firefighter said. If they say you got to share a room on this trip, we're not springing, you're not special, who do you think you are? We're not springing for you to get no, room to yourself. Either she would pay for it herself, same thing that firefighter said, and if that was not going to be an option, she would not go. Excellent. And I think as firefighter and others stated, that even would have to be considered for a number of non-white people as well, because you have a lot of non-white people who are not constructed. The black fella I just mentioned, is he going to be behaving the same way, cackling and won't help you do nothing, need a roll of toilet paper accidentally or anything else? You should have thought of it yourself. That's what you get. Man, I don't want to room with you either. Thank you. You're going to be behaving in that manner, then we need to have separate rooms. But yes, if you have any tips for that, let us know. Last second or two before we wrap things up for this week's Neutralizing Workplace Racism. Again, I would be mindful about what's happening in your field, just hirings, other reports of racism, latest developments, AI, all of it is so much in terms of rapid daily developments all around the world. Just be abreast. You can even devote time if you don't have Wi-Fi or if you don't have the time to do this daily or weekly. You could make it, once every 2 months. You can make it a biannual thing where at least 2 times a year I will go to the library. I'll set aside time specifically if I have to go to the library, or I will devote quiet time where I can sit in my residence and research, examine my field specifically. Latest developments, racism, white supremacy, allegations. It could be lots of things that could entail. Technology, lots. Trends for the next 5 to 10 years. I say you should do this also, especially if you have children, just so you can be of greater assistance to their employment searches, and then just so that you'll know, you all can talk, converse. Do you want to follow in dad's footsteps, mom's footsteps, whatever the case may be, or is it looking like, ooh, bots are going to have this job in about 7 years, so yeah, maybe, yeah. Don't even worry about it. Pick something, start your own path. Like, you don't want to worry about this foolishness at all, because by the time you get out of high school, this is going to be, I might not even have a job. That type of thing, if you have offspring especially. Let's see. Our caller down at the courthouse in Florida, if you have commentary, should be with us as well, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Greetings to just the host, the listeners, and callers. Thus, I'd like to share just a couple of updates. Let's see. I'll start out with, I believe, 2 of the clique members. I guess they're not speaking to each other. I believe one clique member, from what's been reported to me, went and shared with a black supervisor. I guess she went through her father-in-law, who passed away, his cell phone, and told the black female supervisor that this other white woman was texting the white guy who passed away, and was talking about the other white clique woman and the black female supervisor. So some tackiness right there. My next update is I had some customer interactions where racism has been coming up, from a customer service standpoint. And now I don't know if anybody else on the line, I guess, has been talking to people from the public, or they have to sell something or whatnot. I have where we sell copies and everything, and people, I guess, detect your voice and whatnot, and whether if it's a black person on the line, or they'll let you know that, I guess, they're classified as black, and they will start to speak about them experiencing racism in some way. Like, for example, the first customer was someone that is a farmer. And Gus, I know you played an audio segment about black farmers. Maybe it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, where they were talking about black farmers being mistreated, and I think not being able to get financial loans, and experiencing racism. And there was a black male who contacted me and was wanting to know about restitution and some cases under his name from like the 90s or the 80s. And he said, they told me that I had to come back in and find out the cases from 1982 and 1996, 2001. And could you type in this name for me? I said, sure, I can look that up for you. I see this case from this year, and it says you owe this, and it says you owe that. And it was like, yeah, you know what? I think they're trying to do something to me. I think they're discriminating, and I think they just don't want to give me a loan. And they're doing that to us black farmers. And, all I was just saying is, I'm sad. I'm sorry to hear that, and but here is the amount that it says you owe on the cost. But, I just wanted to share that as one of these examples of where they start expressing, these are other victims, that'll express that they're saying that they're being mistreated. All right. So this guy was a farmer, and he said he was a black farmer. So he came in, so I put in instructor time and energy, and I just said, here are the amounts right here. It was like 4 or 5 different court costs. And he had to go to the other building so he can get this stuff paid off so he can try and get his loan. So I hadn't talked with him in the last couple of weeks, but I think he got that all settled. But I wanted to share that because he mentioned racism. The second one was a black female customer who was talking about a custody issue with, I think it was a grandchild, I guess, a 3-year-old black male child, I guess, recently, who had been in the custody of some white people. And she said that the current white guardian or whatever was saying that she was all stressed out because the school had been calling her about how the child has been acting out in school and biting the teacher or something like that. And she said she thought the child had been getting mistreated, and she called them racist. She said it's nothing but white children around, and there's no black children around. So this is what she was saying. And she was trying to put in a motion to file into that case so that she can try and do what she can to get custody of the child back. And she just said she thought the child was acting out, and she called the children racist, and she called the teacher a racist. But she didn't call the white woman that currently had custody of the child a racist. So that was another example of a customer expressing racism. And I had one more I'd like to share. At the meeting, if I could just add in one other quick one. Because I know last year I mentioned that a black female was there 19 years, and this year, this morning, they gave her the 20-year plaque, and I saw it now, 20 years. And this other white woman up there, and she was elevated and prioritized over her, and they ain't even been there 10 years yet. So, I saw her get her actual 20-year plaque today. And this white man in the meeting, they all started what he did, and some of the other administrative white people started mentioning, here it is, we're going to start this and that white intern and this legal intern and then this white employee, that white employee, and then we get to the black person at the end, and then this white man is going to say, well, I told her to come in this morning and she didn't make it in. I have a new employee, like I said, unprofessional and doesn't know how to talk to people. So yeah, he said that about the black employee. So yeah, I wanted to share a couple of those updates. And other than that, that's all I have to share. Thanks for allowing me to speak.
Much obliged, caller in Florida. Man, it does not get any better than tacky. Let's see. I guess we get at least some goodies at first. Or not goodies. Well, yeah, we did have a few goodies at first. The click members are having a feud, which I guess we have heard before. That's not that surprising because he said they were throwing beverages in each other's face way back when. So, I mean, white people, they don't practice justice. So, whatever. They brawl from time to time. But I will say, he said one of the white clique members went and talked to the black supervisor. Seemed like they were kind of snitching on activities of the other clique members. Like, that man, as much as he told us that the black supervisors are hated, like, wow, that is like treasonous behavior. Like, you did what? Ooh. Have to see how long that lasts. That could be ugly heading into the holiday season. Just sit back and watch the fireworks. The black farmer, interestingly, because we've had a number of reports talking about different elements of racism for attempted black farmers. Even report today about black agricultural workers, non-white agricultural workers not getting access to housing. And he said the black farmer was in and was trying to look up different court cases and all this. And like, man, they're giving me the legal runaround. I think they're just practicing racism. They don't want to give me, this loan here and making me look at all this paperwork and such. Like, man, that could have been a totally different experience. And it might have even been just he felt a little bit more comfortable because you were there and being, courteous, respectful to his queries and such. But it could have been a white person and, he would have just been quietly get my forms, yep, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, get my forms and leave it at that. Might have just been they got a black person up here and You know, you know what it is, brother. They practice. Just let some more details out about what which I am certain that is exactly what it is. Institutional problem of white supremacy, racism, all the way back to Earl Butz and beyond. Then you got a double whammy where the black female customer came in requesting information, and she also talking about white people having custody of this black child. Man, Devontae Hart, we were once a family. Just talked about that yesterday. Just read that book earlier January of this calendar year. Wow. Amongst many others, Dorothy Roberts, many others. Anyway, talking about the child being around all these white people, other white children and white people in general, and the teacher is racist, and although it probably is, we heard some of that already. It can be, even that level of honesty is like, I will infrequently hear non-white people identify a white person and say, oh, this white person is racist. That's kind of rare. I'll hear like entitled or privileged, like say he's got this racist white teacher. Like, wow. He said she did not say the foster or whoever the current white guardian is, she did not identify her as racist. Hey.
Nope.
That's pretty common as well. That would have to be a really difficult one. I mean, wow, just to be processed and say, yes, this black child is with a racist. Their guardian is a racist. That is a lot. In fact, reminded me of the program we had, The Impossibility of White Identity. The white guest admitted racist on that program theorized that I think for some victims of white supremacy, that is almost too much to process in terms of, yes, the dentist is racist, and I'm sending my child there anyway to get their teeth corrected. Just having to process it. Like the child, yes, they're currently with a racist, and there's nothing I can do about it, which is also why Mr. Fuller said we don't qualify for mother, father, not when they can come take your child like that, and that's what they've been doing. So plantational, right? But man, that is a lot to have to sit in. That's another one. Maybe she says all that, even if, it had been a white person at the desk when she came to get her paperwork. Maybe not. I would advise if it had been, maybe even if it's a black person. I don't, because there's a lot of black people say, hey man, don't you come in here blaming Whitey for your trouble. Pull up your pants and straighten up and fight. Don't make me press the panic button on you in here talking all that, foo-ha and all the rest of it. Like, I know black people in my so-called family would talk that way. You sounded like that old lame Gus around here blaming Whitey for everything. Slavery, this. Yeah. So just get your paperwork in. She was kind of lucky. They were both kind of lucky, the farmer as well. Because that could have been a panic button situation. He's like, hey, you come up here talking, make me think I'm with you or something. I'd be like, that's right, Whitey is racist. What did you say? Nothing. I'm just getting the paperwork. I just get the paperwork. Let's see. The 20-year, she's not 20-year-old. She's worked there for 20 years. And they gave her a plaque. Now that's another one, as it just does not get any better than tacky. Now, under ordinary circumstances, I'd say, hey, man, 20 years of dedication, and you got up, you didn't go off and get another plantation, you didn't go postal and smack everybody upside the head, you come in here, you do your work, that is something like right on. But really, if I was really that valued, how is it you got people that have been here half the time that I have? They can get a promotion. I'm over here. I'm capped out too. Young lady who called. We just capped out. Best we can do is get you a plaque that say, commemorate that you've been here undervalued for 20 years. We sure do appreciate you, though. Anyway, that's one, too, where I say I would make an assessment. Like, if you've been at a company, unless, if she's chilling, doing what she's doing, they don't do too much abusing of her, on a regular basis. They don't come throw drinks in her face and that sort of thing. They don't press the panic button on her. If she's satisfied with things as is, fine. But I would make an assessment. If I am not going to be satisfied with this, hanging out and chilling here for no 20 years, and I'm not getting a promotion, I'm not getting a raise, I'm not advancing, like, oh, no. That's one of those where I said before, the young lady who wrote in and said that she had got fearful of trying to find a different plantation and switching things up and getting a new team and all of that because she felt like her self-esteem had been robbed. That can end up being the result. Now, like I said, she could totally be happy with this, and if that's the case, no problem. But you don't want to be there in a situation where you are not happy. You weren't happy 10 years ago. You weren't happy 15 years ago. You got lames who don't know how to talk to people and are incompetent, and they can get, different opportunities, and people will go and advocate on their behalf. And I'm just over here chilling, and the best you can do is come give me a lame plaque at 20 years. And then they'll put that picture in the newsletter. Guess what's going to be front page? It does not get any better than tacky. He said got all these new interns and all the next generation of the clique is what I was thinking. He said all these white people. You can't get no black interns? Nobody? They can't. His mom has worked there all those years. They say, hey, you don't have no little nieces or nephews or little grandbabies or whatever that you think are smart and got some of your responsibility and pluck, not like you're a troublemaker son or anything, but other people who might fit in well. You want to, give them a shot, bring them on down. Maybe we can let them intern, give the tires a little kick, see if they'll work out. They don't. No. Hey, even her troublemaker son, he's been down there for 13 years asking questions, acting wacky. Think that's it. Hey, you don't have any folks, any black people, young folks, youth, 20s, in college maybe, think they want to intern, think about being a civil servant. We need the next generation of folks to come down and help out at the courthouse. Press the panic button. No. All we got is white people. What's my word? We got to get it in once a week, every day. Crony, where did you get all these white interns from? Why don't we have, it's no black people that want to intern at the courthouse in North Florida? Really? Come on, man. He said they got one out of all these new folks, new hires, they got the one black person. That was last. I said, wait a minute, because I thought he said, was it the fella who doesn't know how to talk to people? A little incompetent. Was it him? Was he talking bad about the one black person? Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Yeah. I talked with another victim, and she was there this morning too, and she came to that same conclusion that she thought that he was practicing racism in the way where he was trying to say he was going to introduce the black person, the new employee, and I guess she wasn't there at the meeting, or I don't know if she called in sick or something, but she wasn't there, and they had just announced all of these white employees, new employees, and these new university employees, and they mentioned the black person like the very last. And it's almost, Gus, like how a couple of years ago, where the new black person, where we had the warden, the white woman I called the warden, she was announcing all of these white people, and then I said, hey, we have a new employee in the department, and her name is right here, and she definitely was on a on a war path, I guess, against me that year when I called that out. It was similar to that, where they mentioned the black person last, and this was the white man that is that same white dude. Yes, sir.
Got it. I see. They mentioned the black person, and it's specifically the white fella who is unprofessional, doesn't know how to talk to people, kindred spirit. He introduces her after and I said crony. Some of this could be nepotism too. How do I know? They could be relatives. So right on. Nepotism, cronyism. Anyway, so we introduce all of the white friends, relatives, new hires, interns, blah, 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 blah. And we get to the black person at the end, and the new black person is not there. Now, she could have called. They could have already known this. They could have sent a text, been totally responsible, did it the correct way and everything, where he knew this well in advance. But he uses this moment to make a quip. Irresponsible, no count Lakeisha. Gonna say something nice, and she can't even show it. That's what I say about them. I told them not to hire in the first place. See, they don't listen to me.
I think, Gus, I think that was exactly the tone. That's what I got from that. I'm standing like a couple feet away. I'm like, it sounded like he wasn't giving her a compliment, definitely. And he really doesn't really speak about too many other things. And they were going around asking all of the supervisors if they had anything to say. And that's the comment he put out there. So, and then from the times I've seen the person, black female victim, she didn't seem to be enjoying it being in there. So he's probably noticing his racism by now.
And/or that he's unprofessional and doesn't know how to talk to people.
There you go. Absolutely.
Incredible. Wow. Can you even imagine? I'm a new hire. I haven't even been there that long. They have the big meeting. Everybody's supposed to be. And like I said, we don't even know. She could have totally, called it. She might have even been present. She might have been doing, another task. Who knows? She could have had COVID-19. Who knows? She could have had a death in the family. Who knows? Anyway, she could have done all of that, notified him correctly. I use this opportunity, even if he didn't know. If I'm a new hire and I use this opportunity, Why is that my intro to everybody else? Oh, this is Paul and Nancy. So happy to have her. Nancy, are you related to Jude? Oh, yes, that's her. Okay, right. That's Ned, right? Okay, and then, oh, look, like, what in the world? Like, come on. That's how everybody can. That's what they'll have in their brain computer whenever they see me, which might have been later on that day, or as I carry on throughout the summer or autumn now, they think, oh, lame Lakeisha couldn't even show up. We went to introduce.
Yes, sir. And Gus, just to add really quick, and just the visual of it, I just saw all of the white interns and the new people. They threw their hands up. Hey, here I am right here. Here I am over here. And a white woman said, hey, here's, the intern is going to be helping me out. They threw their hand up. Then they get to the black person. And he just did it all in one take. He just, hey, I told her, that we were going to be having this meeting this morning. I just thought he was being dishonest. I do, and there's another black person that, from what I heard, they told this black female that, well, you may have to try and go and find another job after we move into this new building or something. From what I'm hearing, it was either him or a white woman clicked him. So they, from what I'm hearing, told this to a black cashier.
Dang. Well, that would certainly, if that's accurate, that would certainly, give me pause for wanting to come hang out at the meeting and be jolly. I guess maybe on one hand, now, I don't know how quick the move is coming, if that's next week or if this, a few months down the road or maybe even next year down the road, hopefully. But if that's something that they're saying, if there's merit, truth in that, I would rather get it that way as opposed to they go to do the ribbon cutting ceremony and we're going to move in. And it's, oh, wait a minute. Look here, Natasha. We don't have, I have seen where, when you talk about tacky, I have seen that sort of tacky, or they wait until like a week before they get ready to move. So you've been good, like, oh, it's so exciting. And look at that. Oh, we are moving. You, you are moving too, but you're not moving with us. So I guess depending on how long it's going to be for the move to take, I mean, I'd rather be upset about that now so that I can, make appropriate transition plans and not get my hopes up than being real disappointed and short notice. But I mean, it does not get any better than tacky through and through. Ooh, that, man. And even, see, I mean, everything is just, at least in my view, it's just set up for failure. Just through and through, set up for failure. Even, I won't say something as small as that, but something that should be really trivial. Group meeting, hey, we got new folks, interns, everybody say hi, blah, 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 blah. And this becomes an opportunity to practice racism, white supremacy. And like I said, like, that's important. Like, for a lot of people, it becomes, especially if you're classified as black, like, to get over those first impressions where everybody just thinks of you as irresponsible and unreliable and you're not even timely, and we told you about the meeting and you're like, oh man, like, especially at someplace that's supposed to be professional and serious like a courthouse, like, oh man, it could take 20, that'll be the excuse for 20 years. Well, you can't promote Lakeisha, I remember way back 20 years ago, and we had that. She didn't even show up. We were going to give her kudos. We had half-eaten bag of M&Ms to share with her, and she wasn't even there. And they said she didn't even call in. Yep, she's not even reliable. No. Had she been here 20 years? Yeah, but she's just not. Come on, man. Come on. It does not get any better than tacky. Through and through tacky. And then lots of cronyism and nepotism on the side, even at the courthouse. Any hoodles, we have done our 3 hours. We really didn't, hopefully, with all the Zoom and everything else and the COVID-19, we didn't get a whole lot of suggestions about being roommates because people don't do no roommating. If you do have to do a slumber party workplace type situation, let us know. I think retired firefighter, great tips. Bay Area mom as well. Hey, it is Jeffrey Epstein. Diddy. It's not safe, man. S word. That's a big one word. All capital letters. SAFE. Safe. Got to stay safe. Got predators everywhere. Diddy, see? Got predators everywhere, allegedly. Got to stay safe. Can't be sharing no sleeping quarters, and get your own, or, hey, I'm not going to be able to go because I am not. And I've heard that like so frequently where all kinds of, even if it doesn't get sexual, just let, you don't know what kind of drug activity they got, even if it's as benign as, well, I got to watch Netflix all night long. What? I'm not trying to be listening to no Netflix at 3 a.m. Go to bed. Room to ourselves. We'll be here tomorrow, wrap up what hashtag. Man, the schools, oh my God. Man, I'm so glad we read Columbine. They are shooting up the schools. They had whole... We will catch all that. Diddy, of course. We'll catch all that tomorrow. Compensatory call in 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Invest. If you think the cows is constructive, hit the blog racism-notes.blogspot.com. Again, sobriety would be best under conditions of white supremacy, especially for non-white children. Creator, we ask that you help us remain patient with other black people, victims of white supremacy. We ask that you help us remain patient with ourselves. Remind us to demonstrate the highest levels of black self-respect at all times, in all places, each and every time we are in contact with another black person. It has been time. Replace white supremacy with justice immediately. No gossiping. No name calling. Black people. No throwaway offspring. Cow signing out. Thanks all for tuning in.
Nigga, you so brainwashed.
I'm a victim, brother.
Problem. You're a victim.
Man, I'm a victim of 400 years of conditioning.
Shut up.
The man has programmed my conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
Even my conditioning has been conditioned.